What if the past is hiding truths we were never meant to uncover? Beneath layers of dust and stone, in the shadows of forgotten temples and buried cities, lie questions that history refuses to answer. Giant monoliths carved with impossible precision. Maps etched centuries before the lands they depict were even discovered. And whispers of civilizations that vanished without a trace, leaving behind only riddles written in stone. Who were they? What did they know? And why does so much of their story remain untold? These aren't just myths or bedtime tales. They are real anomalies, scattered across continents, defying logic and challenging everything we thought we knew about human history. Scientists debate them. Historians dismiss them. But they persist, staring back at us like silent sentinels of a forgotten world. Tonight, we follow the trail of the unexplained. From the sands of the GIZA Plateau to the misty heights of the Andes, we'll peer into the unknown, one mystery at a time. So, sit back, relax, and let's dive into the depths of the ancient world, where the line between fact and legend begins to blur. Deep within the heart of the Amazon rainforest, where the dense green canopy swallows sound and time itself seems to slow, lies a mystery older than maps, older than memory. The air here is heavy, thick with moisture and the scent of earth. Vines twist through ancient trees like serpents in a silent ballet. The forest is alive, but it guards its secrets well. Among the secrets it may yet conceal is one that has haunted explorers and archaeologists for more than a century, the legend of the lost city of Z. In the early 20th century, British explorer Percy Fawcett, an esteemed member of the Royal Geographical Society, set out on what he believed would be his greatest expedition. Unlike many of his contemporaries, Fawcett was not in search of gold or glory. He was chasing whispers, rumors of a forgotten civilization hidden deep in the jungle, beyond the reach of modern maps. He called it simply Z. Fawcett was no fantasist. He was a seasoned cartographer who had mapped much of the uncharted Amazon for the British government. His theories were grounded in fragments, Portuguese manuscripts from the 18th century, indigenous oral histories, and curious stone structures encountered during previous expeditions. One document in particular, known as Manuscript 512, described a ruined city of stone columns, archways, and strange symbols, unlike anything attributed to the known indigenous cultures of the region. Was this Z? A relic of a long-lost civilization untouched by European records, perhaps even predating the Inca. In 1925, Fawcett embarked on what would become his final journey. Accompanied by his son Jack and a small team, he ventured into the Amazon and vanished. No trace of them was ever found. Over the decades, dozens of search parties followed in their footsteps. Many never returned. The jungle, it seemed, kept its secrets with a ruthless kind of patience. The question remains, was Fawcett chasing a myth, or was he on the verge of uncovering one of the greatest archaeological discoveries of the modern era? Mainstream scholars for years dismissed the idea of complex civilizations in the Amazon basin. They argued the region's poor soil and harsh climate made it inhospitable to large, sedentary populations. Civilizations like those found in Mesoamerica or the Andes, with their cities and monuments, were seen as outliers in the ancient Americas. But recent discoveries have begun to shift that narrative. LIDAR technology, a form of aerial laser scanning, has unveiled vast networks of geometric earthworks, roads, and settlements beneath the forest canopy. In regions once thought to be untouched wilderness, evidence of extensive pre-Columbian societies is beginning to surface. In 2018, a network of monumental structures was uncovered in southern Amazonia, dating back over 1,000 years. These findings challenged the long-held belief that the Amazon was a cultural void, a mere green ocean between more civilized centers. Could these discoveries be fragments of the civilization Fawcett was searching for? There is no definitive answer. The city he described, built of stone, rich in symbolism, has not been found, nor has Z in any concrete form been proven to exist. But the jungle does not yield its truths easily. Some have speculated that Fawcett may have misunderstood or romanticized indigenous legends. Others believe he stumbled upon something the world was not meant to see, an encounter with an isolated people, a forgotten temple, or even a portal to something far stranger. Fringe theories abound. That Z was an outpost of Atlantis, that it was connected to extraterrestrial visitors, that Fawcett himself found it and chose never to return. These ideas are often dismissed by scholars, and yet they persist, not because they are proven, but because they remain possible, because the jungle has not said no. The story of the lost city of Z is not just about one man's disappearance. It is a symbol of something older, more elusive, humanity's enduring hunger to connect the past with the present, to fill the gaps in our story, to believe that somewhere out there, beyond the edge of what we know, lies something more, something ancient and waiting. In the silent expanse of the forest, where the light filters down like golden smoke and the ground breathes with unseen life, one cannot help but feel it, that presence. The sense that footsteps have passed here before, that beneath the moss and soil, stone still remembers. Could there truly be a lost city beneath the trees? Was Fawcett a visionary ahead of his time, or simply a man lost to legend? Perhaps the truth lies somewhere in between, half buried in myth, half waiting to be uncovered by a satellite scan or a stray explorer's blade. The jungle holds its breath, and we are still listening. What if the greatest ruins of our past are the ones we have not yet found? As we continue our exploration of ancient enigmas, we turn our attention to one of the most iconic and perplexing objects of archaeological lore, the crystal skull. These polished, lifelike human skulls, made of clear or milky quartz, have fascinated both scholars and laypeople for decades. Their beauty and eerie precision seem almost otherworldly, leading many to question their true origins and purpose. The most famous of these skulls, often referred to as the Mitchell-Hedges skull, was discovered in the 1920s by British adventurer F.A. Mitchell-Hedges during an expedition to the ancient Mayan city of Luba-Antun in modern-day Belize. What Mitchell-Hedges and his companions found was not just a simple artifact, but a perfect crystalline representation of a human skull carved with remarkable detail. Its features, from the hollowed-out eye sockets to the contours of the jaw, were eerily realistic. The skull, which is about 5 inches long and weighs around 11 pounds, became the focal point of much debate, especially after it was said to have mystical properties. But this is just one example. The world of the crystal skulls includes at least a dozen known specimens and perhaps many more, scattered across museums, private collections, and remote regions of the globe. Each one carries its own set of mysteries. Many are made from quartz, one of the hardest minerals on Earth, yet they are finely carved into human-like shapes with such precision that they appear almost too sophisticated for the technology of their purported time. The very materials used to craft these skulls also raise questions. How were they made? And why was quartz, a material known for its difficulty to shape. Chosen, despite their strikingly similar form, the crystal skulls are not just confined to the Mayan civilization. Some have been linked to the Aztecs, while others have been associated with ancient cultures as diverse as the Olmec and even distant civilizations in Europe. As scholars try to trace their origins, the questions multiply. What was their purpose? Were they ceremonial objects, possibly used in ritualistic practices? Or are they relics of an unknown, forgotten culture with advanced knowledge of craftsmanship that seems ahead of its time? The Mitchell Hedges skull itself has been the subject of intense speculation. Some who have examined it believe the carving to be so precise that it must have been made with advanced tools, possibly even with a technology that predates what we know of the ancient Maya. The skull's smooth, polished surface, its crystalline clarity, and the meticulous detail of its features are puzzling, especially considering that it was supposedly made with rudimentary stone tools. The skull's mysterious origins have fueled theories about its true age, some suggesting that it is much older than the Maya civilization itself, perhaps dating back to an era long before recorded history. Beyond its craftsmanship, the Mitchell Hedges skull, like many of its counterparts, has become entangled with legends and paranormal associations. It is said to have mystical powers, capable of providing insight, healing, and even communication with the dead. For some, the skull is no mere artifact, but a key to unlocking ancient secrets, a conduit to a lost wisdom that has been hidden for millennia. These claims are bolstered by various accounts of strange occurrences surrounding the skull. Stories of individuals experiencing vivid dreams, visions, and an overwhelming sense of energy when in its presence. Yet, despite these anecdotes, there is no scientific evidence to support the supernatural claims. What, then, is the true story behind these unusual objects? Another curious aspect of the crystal skulls is their supposed connection to the ancient Mayan prophecy. According to legend, there are 13 crystal skulls, each holding a part of the key to understanding the past, present, and future. The Maya believed that when all 13 skulls are reunited, they would unlock a profound cosmic knowledge, leading humanity into a new era of enlightenment. This idea is often tied to the end of the Mayan calendar in 2012, when some speculated that the rediscovery of these skulls would signal a time of transformation. While the year came and went without the fulfillment of such prophecies, the myth surrounding the crystal skulls persists, fueling curiosity and intrigue. Despite the allure of these stories, the skulls have been examined by numerous experts over the years, and many scholars have voiced skepticism regarding their ancient origins. Some suggest that the skulls were created in the 19th or 20th centuries, using modern tools and techniques. Indeed, when the Mitchell Hedges skull was first presented to the public, it wasn't immediately embraced by the archaeological community. Some believe it was simply a product of the era's fascination with ancient cultures and the growing interest in spiritualism. In fact, modern examinations of the skulls suggest that they may have been created with tools that were available only in the 19th or early 20th centuries, casting doubt on the claim that they date back to ancient times. One of the most widely accepted explanations for the creation of these skulls is that they were produced during the European colonial period, as part of the broader trend of artifact collecting. It is possible that the crystal skulls were crafted to satisfy the growing demand for exotic items that were thought to hold power or mystery. However, this theory does not explain the remarkable craftsmanship or the uncanny way in which the skulls seem to resonate with people. The juxtaposition of the possible modern origin and the spiritual allure of the skulls only deepens the mystery. The truth behind the crystal skulls may never be fully known. Are they the work of ancient peoples who possessed secret knowledge and advanced techniques? Or were they created more recently as part of a larger cultural fascination with the unknown? Perhaps, as with many mysteries, the truth lies somewhere in between, an artifact that has been imbued with meaning over the years, regardless of its true origin. As we reflect on the crystal skulls, we are reminded that their true significance may not lie solely in their material makeup or precise origins, but in the way they continue to captivate our imagination. They embody humanity's eternal search for deeper understanding, for the uncovering of lost wisdom, and for a connection to the past that seems both tantalizing and elusive. As we stand before these ancient or perhaps not so ancient relics, one question remains. What is it about these skulls that continues to fascinate and mystify us? Is it their exquisite craftsmanship, their potential to unlock lost knowledge, or perhaps something more? Something that, like the skulls themselves, remains hidden from view, waiting to be discovered? From the depths of the ocean to the quiet hills of western Scotland, our search for the unexplained brings us to a different kind of monument, one not hidden beneath waves or vines, but lying just beneath the surface of the earth, buried for protection, and revealed only in fleeting glimpses. Here, on the outskirts of Clydebank, near the village of Faifley, the land rises gently beneath a canopy of gray skies and soft grass. At first glance, it seems an unremarkable place, quiet, modest, unassuming. But beneath this patch of earth rests a mystery etched into stone, the COCHNO stone. Measuring over 13 meters in length and 8 meters in width, the COCHNO stone is one of the largest and most elaborate sets of prehistoric petroglyphs in Europe. It is a canvas of ancient artistry, covered in a bewildering array of symbols, spirals, rings, and grooves, carved with precision, their meanings lost to time. Known as cup and ring marks, these engravings are thought to be at least 5,000 years old, perhaps older. They were first documented in 1887, but the stone was reburied in 1965 to protect it from vandalism, erosion, and neglect. For decades, it lay beneath the soil, largely forgotten. And then, in 2015, it was uncovered once again, briefly, by archaeologists hoping to preserve and digitally record its complex surface. What they revealed was astonishing. Dozens, perhaps hundreds, of interconnected patterns sprawled across the stone's surface like a cosmic map. Concentric rings surrounding shallow depressions, channel-like grooves linking certain symbols to others. Some appear isolated. Others are intricately arranged as if designed with intention, with rhythm. The carvings feel less like decoration and more like a language no one has yet deciphered. But what do they mean? Mainstream archaeologists believe these markings are ritualistic or symbolic, created by Neolithic or early Bronze Age peoples. Similar motifs have been found across Europe, from northern Spain to Ireland to parts of Scandinavia, suggesting a shared cultural tradition, or at least a widespread symbolic vocabulary. Yet, the purpose behind them remains elusive. Were they territorial markers, astronomical charts, sacred maps of spirit worlds or visions, or something even more abstract, representations of stories, dreams, or cycles of nature? The truth is, no definitive interpretation has been universally accepted. The patterns do not form recognizable writing, nor do they depict familiar scenes. There are no animals, no weapons, no clear images of gods or rulers, only symbols and silence. Speculation fills that silence. Some researchers have proposed that the layout of the COCHNO stone reflects celestial alignments, that the rings and grooves chart the positions of stars, solstices, or lunar cycles. Indeed, some of the carvings seem to align with known solar events, but there is no consensus. Others suggest the marks may represent property or status, recording events in the life of a community now long vanished. And then there are more unconventional ideas. Some believe the stone is a kind of ancient message, a code passed down from a forgotten civilization, perhaps one that predates recorded history by millennia. Fringe theories suggest the stone is evidence of lost cultures with advanced knowledge, perhaps even contact, with visitors from beyond Earth. These ideas, while lacking concrete evidence, echo a broader human longing, the desire to connect meaning to mystery, to read intent in what appears deliberate. There is something undeniably arresting about the COCHNO stone. Standing before it, whether in person or through high-resolution scans, one cannot help but feel a sense of depth, of age, of something held just out of reach. The symbols seem to beckon, not as art, not as ornamentation, but as a kind of forgotten communication. Why would a people, likely nomadic, without metal tools or formal writing systems, expend such effort over such a vast surface to carve these intricate patterns? And why do so many of them appear in such similar forms across vast distances? The COCHNO stone, like many ancient mysteries, offers no answers, only questions, and perhaps what makes it most mysterious is its location, not in the heart of a jungle or beneath the sea, but in a quiet Scottish field, surrounded by houses and narrow roads, a reminder that history's great enigmas are not always buried in distant lands. They may lie just beneath our feet, hidden in plain sight. For now, the stone has been reburied again, protected from time and weather, but its memory endures in 3D models and photographs in the minds of those who still wonder. What were our ancestors trying to say across the silence of millennia? And who, if anyone, were they hoping would one day understand? From ancient stones in the misty hills of Scotland, we now journey eastward to the heart of China's Hunan province, where the past has been preserved in a way few would have imagined possible. Beneath layers of soil and centuries of silence, in a tomb hidden away for more than 2,000 years, one of the most extraordinary discoveries in archaeological history lay waiting. Here, near the city of Changsha, in the MOHENJO-DARO tombs, a team of workers digging in the early 1970s uncovered a burial chamber unlike any previously seen. Inside it, resting at the center of a vast, carefully sealed wooden structure, was a silk-wrapped coffin, and within that coffin, a body, a woman, serene in death, her skin still soft, her veins intact, her joints still flexible, a corpse that had somehow resisted the decay of time for over 2 millennia. She would come to be known as Xin Jue, the Marquise of Dai, or more simply, the Lady of Dai. But how had she endured? The tomb was dated to around 168 BCE. During the Western Han Dynasty, the Lady of Dai was believed to be the wife of the ruler of the Dai Kingdom, a noblewoman of immense status. Alongside her were exquisite silks, lacquerware, a trove of medicinal texts, and a painted banner depicting her journey through the afterlife, an image still rich in color and mystery. These were not ordinary burial goods. This was a carefully orchestrated passage into the beyond. Yet, the most astonishing detail was not what she was buried with, but how she remained. When her body was unwrapped, doctors were stunned. Her skin was pliable, her hair still intact. Even the contents of her stomach were identifiable. Melon seeds, likely consumed shortly before death. Blood remained in her veins, type A. Her organs, normally the first to decompose, were soft and largely preserved. It was as if she had only recently passed. How could this be? Scientists and historians have spent decades examining her case, and many believe the answer lies in the engineering of her tomb. The structure itself consisted of 4 layers of coffins, nested within each other, surrounded by layers of charcoal and white clay, all designed to create an airtight, temperature-stable environment. The body was encased in a mysterious liquid, its exact chemical makeup still debated, and the tomb was buried deep underground in a region with naturally cool, humid soil. A perfect storm of preservation? Possibly, but questions remain. No other body from this time period, or any period before modern embalming, has ever been found in such pristine condition. Other tombs from the Han dynasty, including those of similarly high-ranking individuals, do not display this level of preservation. Why was hers different? Was it purely environmental, a unique combination of climate, materials, and burial technique? Or was there knowledge, intentional, precise knowledge, that has since been lost? Some believe the people of the Han dynasty may have developed advanced methods of preservation, rooted in early Chinese medicine and alchemical experimentation. The Han were fascinated with immortality. Countless texts from the time speak of elixirs, potions, and the manipulation of bodily energies. Perhaps the Lady of Dai was preserved not only with ritual but with science far ahead of its time. Others point to the symbolic elements found within the tomb, the celestial banner showing her spirit ascending to the afterlife, attended by mythical beasts and divine figures. Could the extraordinary preservation have been part of a spiritual belief? A way to ensure that her journey beyond this world was as seamless as possible? That her physical body, perfectly maintained, could act as a vessel for immortality? And then more speculative theories arise. Some wonder whether the materials used in the tomb, the unknown fluid, the precise layering of elements, hint at lost technologies. Knowledge passed down through esoteric schools of thought, long buried or intentionally hidden. Fringe thinkers even suggest that the Lady of Dai may represent contact with knowledge outside the cultural norms of the Han dynasty. Perhaps an echo of even older pre-imperial Chinese traditions or foreign influences carried along the early Silk Road. These ideas remain unproven, yet the mystery persists. Her body now rests in a climate-controlled chamber at the Hunan Provincial Museum, drawing visitors and scholars from around the world. Despite countless tests, scans, and analyses, no one has fully explained how she has remained in such a condition. And as time goes on, her preservation grows even more remarkable because it has not reversed. She has not decayed, not yet. Standing before her, one cannot help but feel a kind of reverence, not just for the woman herself, but for the civilization that interred her with such care and precision, for the mystery of what they knew and what we may have forgotten. In the end, the Lady of Dai speaks across the centuries, not through words or inscriptions, but through her presence, a presence untouched by time. What knowledge was buried with her, and how many more secrets lie waiting just beneath the surface of history. As we move from the enigmatic preservation of the Lady of Dai, we find ourselves turning once again to the distant past. But this time, the mystery we uncover is not of human remains or celestial journeys. This is a riddle of technology, of electrical power, in a time when no one is supposed to have known how to harness it. In the heart of Iraq, not far from the ruins of ancient Mesopotamia, lies a small, seemingly unremarkable artifact. discovered in 1938 by a German archaeologist named Wilhelm Koenig. It was unearthed in the ancient city of Ctesiphon, near Baghdad, amidst the ruins of what was once the great Parthian Empire. At first glance, it looked like little more than a clay jar. But this simple object, an earthen vessel about 6 inches tall, would ignite a debate that continues to this day. It is known as the Baghdad Battery. The artifact consists of a clay jar, a copper cylinder inside it, and a metal rod made of iron that runs through the center. The jar itself is relatively unremarkable. Its exterior plain, weathered by centuries of exposure. But inside, the components seem to form a rudimentary electrical device, similar in construction to what we might recognize today as a basic galvanic cell or battery. At first, the Baghdad Battery was thought to be a mere curiosity, but as archaeologists and scientists examined it further, they realized the object seemed to exhibit properties that defied the conventional understanding of ancient technology. The theory is simple. If the jar were filled with an acidic liquid, such as vinegar or wine, a chemical reaction would occur between the copper and the iron, creating a flow of electricity. The Baghdad Battery, it seemed, might have been capable of producing a small electric charge. But why? And how? The idea that the ancient world may have had the ability to generate electricity raises immediate and unsettling questions. For millennia, the history of human innovation has been told as a steady march with no significant understanding of electrical power until the late 19th century. Yet, if the Baghdad Battery truly functioned as a source of electricity, it would suggest a forgotten knowledge, or perhaps a lost technology, that predates our current understanding of ancient civilizations. The mainstream explanation for the object is that it was not a battery at all, but rather a simple electroplating device. Archaeologists and historians generally propose that the ancient people of the region used these kinds of devices to electroplate gold onto smaller objects, such as jewelry or coins. The theory suggests that the copper and iron components would have allowed for a weak electrical current to be generated, which could then be used to deposit gold onto other materials in a process that mirrors the principles of electroplating discovered by modern science. Yet, the electroplating theory does not fully explain the intricacies of the Baghdad Battery. If it were merely an electroplating tool, why would the artifact be buried in the ground, rather than used in the context of a craft or workshop? And why would the device be so sophisticated? Why use such specific materials for what could have been a more straightforward and rudimentary mechanism? Others suggest the possibility that the device may have been used for medicinal purposes, perhaps as a form of ancient electrotherapy. The ancient civilizations of Mesopotamia were known to employ a variety of herbal and mechanical remedies, and it is not beyond the realm of possibility that they could have experimented with electrical currents for healing or therapeutic uses. But again, there is little evidence to support this idea. And then, of course, there are the more speculative theories, those that propose the Baghdad Battery was part of a much larger, more advanced understanding of electricity that has been lost to time. Could this be evidence that ancient civilizations had access to technologies we are only beginning to understand? Some fringe theorists have even suggested that the Baghdad Battery and similar artifacts could be remnants of an even older, more advanced civilization, one whose knowledge of energy generation and electrical technology was far beyond what we associate with the ancient world. These ideas remain highly speculative and unsupported by mainstream scholars, yet they add another layer of intrigue to the mystery. The most fascinating aspect of the Baghdad Battery is not just its potential function, but the questions it raises about the history of human knowledge. If this artifact truly was capable of generating electricity, It would challenge our very understanding of technological progress. How could such a device have been created at a time when electricity was not understood in the way we comprehend it today? What other lost technologies might have existed, hidden away in the sands of history, buried beneath millennia of shifting empires and forgotten peoples? It is worth considering the possibility that the ancient world may have known far more than we give them credit for. And yet we are left to wonder if the Baghdad battery was indeed a functional device, whether for plating, healing, or some other purpose. What does it say about the level of knowledge and sophistication that existed in ancient Mesopotamia? Could there have been other such devices, now lost to time? The Baghdad battery, much like so many other ancient artifacts, remains an enigma. It is a reminder that the past is far more layered and complex than we often realize. What we consider to be modern or advanced may only be rediscoveries of older knowledge, scattered and forgotten. What other secrets might remain hidden, buried beneath the layers of history? And what other forgotten technologies lie dormant, waiting to be rediscovered? As we continue our journey through the unexplained, we leave behind the mystery of lost technologies and step into a time long before written history. A time when the forces that shaped humanity were still felt in the raw, untouched landscape of our world. In the southeastern corner of modern-day Turkey, perched atop a remote hill, lies a site that has baffled archaeologists since its discovery in the 1990s. Known as Göbekli Tepe, this ancient complex predates the construction of Stonehenge by over 6,000 years, and the Great Pyramids of Giza by nearly 7,000 years. It is considered by many to be the oldest known temple complex in the world. Yet the sheer magnitude of its age and purpose raises far more questions than it answers. The site itself is not easily found, hidden atop a ridge, surrounded by arid plains and rolling hills. From a distance, it appears as little more than a series of mounds, unremarkable in their brown, weathered appearance. But once you step closer, you begin to see it. Massive stone pillars, some as tall as 5 meters, standing in circular formations. These stones, carved with intricate reliefs of animals, lions, foxes, snakes, seem to come alive. Even in their stillness, their shapes invoking the essence of a time long past. Some are adorned with symbols that appear almost alien in their complexity, their meaning slipping just beyond our grasp. Göbekli Tepe is not a single temple, but a collection of temples, each constructed with a level of precision and artistry that suggests a deep understanding of both craftsmanship and the natural world. It is a monumental feat of engineering built long before the advent of metal tools, wheel-based transportation, or written language. And yet it stands, an ancient structure that seems to defy the conventional timeline of human development. The mainstream understanding of Göbekli Tepe's purpose is that it was a site for religious and ritualistic gatherings, a place where early humans, transitioning from nomadic life to settled communities, came together to honor their gods. The carvings of animals, many of which are symbols of power or mystery, might indicate a belief system tied to the natural world, a world in which humans sought to connect with forces beyond their control. It is theorized that the construction of such a grand complex could have been a catalyst for the development of agriculture, for it was only with the steady food sources provided by farming that people would have had the resources and time necessary to build such an ambitious site. But this conventional explanation only scratches the surface of the mystery. There is much about Göbekli Tepe that does not fit within our current understanding of human history. For one, the site's construction appears to have occurred during the late Epipaleolithic or pre-pottery Neolithic period, a time when human societies were still largely hunter-gatherers, living in small, mobile groups. How could such a complex, built from enormous stones, be created by people who had no permanent settlements, no agriculture, and no advanced technology? And why would such a society devote so much effort to creating such an elaborate temple complex far earlier than any known civilization that practiced large-scale agriculture or urban life? The timing of its construction raises another intriguing question. Despite the clear evidence that Göbekli Tepe was in use as a ceremonial site, it was deliberately buried sometime around 8000 BCE, long before the rise of the ancient civilizations of Mesopotamia and Egypt. What could have prompted such an act of burial? Was it a deliberate effort to preserve the site, to protect it from an unknown threat, or perhaps even to mark the end of an era, a transition in belief systems or social structures? The mainstream explanation holds that the people of Göbekli Tepe gradually abandoned the site, either because their religious practices shifted or because new cultural or technological advancements made the site less relevant. However, some scholars have speculated that the site's sudden burial may indicate a much darker or more complex reason for its abandonment, a cataclysmic event, perhaps, that led to the forced closure of the temple. Some even suggest that there may have been knowledge of an impending disaster, perhaps even of a celestial event, prompting the people to seal the site in an act of preservation. There are also fringe theories, ones that have captivated the imagination of many, that place Göbekli Tepe at the center of even greater mysteries. Some claim that the site is the work of an advanced civilization far beyond what we would expect from hunter-gatherers. These theories posit that Göbekli Tepe is a remnant of a lost civilization, one whose knowledge of astronomy, engineering, and geometry was far superior to anything we know of from that time. According to these ideas, the site was not only a religious center, but a kind of astronomical observatory, a place from which ancient astronomers tracked the stars and the movements of celestial bodies with astounding accuracy. Perhaps most intriguing of all is the question of the animal carvings. Many of the motifs at Göbekli Tepe, foxes, lions, boars, and even vultures, are thought to have held symbolic meaning for the people who created them. But some have speculated that these creatures may represent something more, perhaps not merely symbols of nature, but metaphors for deeper, unknown forces. Some have even suggested that the site is aligned with certain star constellations, implying that the builders of Göbekli Tepe possessed a detailed understanding of the night sky, an understanding that would not be surpassed until much later in history. Göbekli Tepe is not only a place of physical mystery, but a conceptual one as well. What did the people who built it understand about the universe, about life, death, and the divine? Did they possess a knowledge that has since been lost? Were they connected to forces, whether earthly or cosmic, that shaped their beliefs and their world in ways we have yet to comprehend? The questions continue to pile up, unanswered. Each stone, each carving, each layer of earth hides more than it reveals. As researchers carefully study the site and its surroundings, they uncover more details, more clues, but the puzzle remains incomplete. What is certain is that Göbekli Tepe challenges our understanding of human history. It forces us to reconsider the assumptions we have long held about the evolution of our species. Its creators left no written records, no direct explanations. Only the stones, only the symbols, What did they know that we don't? And what other ancient secrets might still be buried beneath the earth, waiting to be uncovered? As we leave behind the mystifying stone circles of Göbekli Tepe, we turn our attention to a far more desolate and inhospitable landscape, a place that has long captured the imagination of explorers, scientists, and those with an affinity for the strange and unexplained. The location is Death Valley, a vast arid expanse in the heart of California's Mojave Desert, where temperatures can soar to 120 degrees Fahrenheit, and the air feels thick with the weight of the unrelenting sun. It is a place of extremes, where survival itself seems an impossible feat. Yet, amid this harsh environment, there lies a mystery that defies simple explanation, an enigma that has puzzled researchers for decades. The sailing stones. The sailing stones are a phenomenon found in the racetrack playa, a dry lake bed at the northern end of Death Valley. Scattered across the cracked, barren surface of this ancient playa are large, flat stones, some weighing as much as 700 pounds, seemingly drifting across the ground, leaving long serpentine tracks behind them. What makes this even more extraordinary is that despite their size, the stones appear to have moved on their own without the aid of human intervention or animal force. The tracks they leave are not the result of a single event, but seem to stretch across decades, sometimes even longer, leaving a trail of perplexity in their wake. For years, people have been baffled by how these large, heavy rocks could travel across the playa, their movement so smooth and deliberate that it appears as though they are being propelled through the dry earth by an unseen force. Some of these tracks are hundreds of meters long, curving and weaving in unpredictable directions, while others seem to start and stop, as though the stones themselves are capable of some mysterious will. And yet, the stones never seem to be in the same place twice. The idea that these rocks could move without any visible assistance remains an anomaly, one that has defied all logical explanation. In the early 20th century, when the first reports of these strange tracks surfaced, it was suggested that high winds might be the culprit, pushing the stones across the surface of the lake bed. However, no one could explain how such powerful winds could act with such precision, moving these enormous rocks across vast distances without leaving any evidence of the forest behind them. Could there be a hidden mechanism in the wind, some secret force of nature at work here that we have yet to understand? Over time, many theories were proposed to explain the phenomenon. Some suggested that the rocks were somehow sliding down the playa's slick surface, perhaps due to the presence of water beneath the ground, an idea supported by the occasional sighting of standing water in the playa. This theory holds that during the rainy season, water gathers beneath the rocks, forming a thin layer of ice that could, in theory, allow the rocks to slide across the surface. Yet, there were no consistent patterns to suggest that this theory was fully correct. The playa is usually bone dry, and even when water does accumulate, the stones do not always move. What could be the hidden trigger, the unseen variable that causes the movement? The prevailing theory in more recent years suggests that the stone's movement is a result of a rare combination of factors. When conditions align perfectly, when there is just enough moisture in the ground, and the temperatures drop to allow thin layers of ice to form on the surface of the playa, strong winds can push the stones. The ice, along with the wind, creates a frictionless environment, allowing the rocks to glide slowly across the surface in the way we now see in recorded footage. It is a fascinating theory, but it still raises more questions than it answers. For one, The stones often leave multiple tracks, suggesting that they are moving in complex, multi-directional paths, something that Wind alone would struggle to explain. Another intriguing aspect of the sailing stones is the fact that, until recent years, no one had been able to witness the rocks in motion. The phenomenon remained a mystery for generations, with most of the evidence for their movement based on long-standing, undisturbed trails that seemed to suggest an invisible hand was at work. It wasn't until 2014 when a team of researchers set up time-lapse cameras in the racetrack playa that they were able to capture footage of the stones in motion. In the video, a stone is seen slowly drifting across the ground, its movements subtle but unmistakable. Yet even this footage left much to be desired in terms of clarity. The stone's movements, while visible, were still difficult to explain fully. The phenomenon was still more complicated than any single theory could account for. While the time-lapse footage helped to confirm that the stones were indeed moving under certain conditions, it only added a layer of mystery to the question of how and why. Could these stones be merely responding to physical forces, or is there something more? Some researchers suggest that the movement of the stones is an interplay of environmental forces, wind, ice, and the playa's unique surface, but others argue that the situation is too complex to be explained by simple physics alone. And yet, there are those who maintain a deeper, more speculative perspective on the sailing stones. Some believe the phenomenon could be linked to ancient forces, possibly related to the alignment of the Earth's magnetic field, or perhaps even to energies we are not yet equipped to fully understand. There are whispers of hidden vibrations beneath the Earth's surface, resonating at frequencies that move the stones in a way that modern science has yet to explain. Others wonder if the rocks could somehow be influenced by human intervention, ancient rituals, perhaps, or long-forgotten traditions tied to the land itself. Could there be a deeper symbolic meaning to the paths carved by the sailing stones? Might these trails be linked to a forgotten story or lost understanding of the natural world? Could this movement, so slow and deliberate, be an echo from a time before recorded history, when the Earth itself was alive with secrets we are only beginning to rediscover? The sailing stones of Death Valley remain an enigma, a reminder of the mysteries that persist in the most desolate places on Earth. Each trail, each mark in the earth, leaves behind a question with no clear answer. And as we continue to study and explore, the phenomenon invites us to look deeper, to consider not only what we know, but what we have yet to uncover. What else hidden in plain sight could be waiting to reveal itself, both to the scientists and to those who dare to ask the right questions. As we journey through the vast expanses of ancient mysteries, our path leads us to the scorching sands of Egypt, a land that has long captured the human imagination with its towering pyramids, regal tombs, and enigmatic monuments. Yet, within this world of stone and sand, there's a story that has remained elusive, a story buried beneath centuries of shifting dunes, lost to time and history. It is the story of the lost labyrinth of Egypt. For millennia, travelers and scholars have spoken in hushed tones about a structure so grand, so extraordinary, that it was said to rival the pyramids themselves. The ancient Greek historian Herodotus, writing in the 5th century BCE, described a labyrinth in Egypt that was so vast it could scarcely be imagined. According to him, the labyrinth was located near the pyramids, and it was a marvel of architecture and engineering. Some say it was built by the pharaoh Amenemhat II during Egypt's Middle Kingdom. Others speculate that it was the work of later rulers. What we do know is that, at its peak, the labyrinth was said to contain hundreds of chambers and corridors adorned with sculptures and murals and filled with intricate passageways that seemed to twist and turn in every direction. The structure's labyrinthine design was meant to reflect the mystery and complexity of the world itself, a symbol of the god's power over both life and death. The monument, which was said to be both a temple and a royal palace, was not merely an architectural feat, but also a spiritual one, its walls etched with the divine knowledge of ancient Egypt. Imagine, if you will, standing before it, vast stone walls rising into the desert sky, covered in hieroglyphs that speak of gods and kings, of rituals long forgotten. Inside, a network of corridors leads to hidden chambers where the air is thick with mystery, and every turn seems to promise the discovery of a secret long hidden from the world. Some accounts describe the labyrinth as a place where the soul could commune with the divine, a place where priests performed sacred ceremonies and knowledge was passed down from one generation to the next. The very fabric of Egypt's spiritual and political power seemed to be contained within its walls. But despite its legendary status, the lost labyrinth of Egypt has never been definitively found. For centuries, scholars have combed the Egyptian desert in search of its remnants, but no concrete evidence has emerged. There are no surviving blueprints or detailed descriptions of the labyrinth's layout, and no archaeologist has yet uncovered definitive proof of its existence. The location of the labyrinth has remained a tantalizing mystery, with various theories attempting to pinpoint its possible whereabouts. Some suggest that it was situated near the pyramid complex at Giza, while others believe it may have been buried beneath the sands near the temple of Hawara in the Fayum oasis, south of Cairo. This latter theory has been supported by ancient texts that refer to the labyrinth as being near a place known as the Labyrinth Temple in Hawara, of the famous Greek geographer Strabo, who visited Egypt in the 1st century BCE, described the labyrinth as a massive, multi-tiered structure, a sprawling complex that was visible from a great distance. Yet, despite these accounts, no definitive trace of the labyrinth has been discovered in either location. In more recent years, the search for the lost labyrinth has taken on a new dimension. Archaeologists have begun to question whether the labyrinth was a physical structure at all, or whether it existed in a more symbolic sense. Some suggest that the labyrinth may have been a metaphor for the afterlife, or a reflection of the spiritual journey one must undergo to reach enlightenment. This theory, though speculative, adds another layer to the enigma surrounding the labyrinth's true nature. Could it be that the labyrinth was never meant to be a physical monument, but instead a spiritual path that transcended the boundaries of earthly existence? Despite the absence of definitive proof, the legend of the lost labyrinth continues to captivate both scholars and dreamers. The very idea of a grand, monumental structure hidden beneath the sands for millennia evokes a sense of wonder and longing. What secrets could it contain? What knowledge, long lost to history, might still be waiting to be uncovered? One of the most compelling aspects of the lost labyrinth is the tantalizing glimpse it offers into the advanced knowledge of the ancient Egyptians. The labyrinth was said to be a repository of sacred wisdom, a place where the mysteries of the cosmos were laid bare for those who could understand them. This raises the question, what kind of knowledge did the ancient Egyptians possess? Were they privy to understanding the stars and planets, knowledge of mathematics and engineering that was far ahead of their time? Could the labyrinth have been a repository of esoteric wisdom that has since been lost to us? Another theory proposes that The labyrinth may have been an important religious site, one that was used for complex rituals connected to the Egyptian belief in the afterlife. According to this view, the labyrinth was not merely a physical location but a spiritual one, representing the journey a soul must take through the afterlife. In this sense, the labyrinth would have been a place where priests and initiates sought to unlock the secrets of immortality, guided by the gods themselves. Was the labyrinth truly a bridge between the physical and the divine? The accounts of those who witnessed the labyrinth also leave us with one undeniable impression: the awe it inspired. Herodotus, Strabo, and other ancient writers spoke of the labyrinth with reverence, describing it not only as a wonder of architecture, but as a place of profound spiritual significance. In their eyes, the labyrinth was a symbol of Egypt's power and its connection to the divine. Its absence from the modern landscape only adds to the mystery. Yet the true question remains: where is the lost labyrinth of Egypt? Is it still buried beneath the sands, its secrets locked away forever? Or could there be other clues hidden in plain sight, waiting to be discovered by those who dare to search? What knowledge might still lie buried in the ruins of this lost wonder, waiting to be uncovered? And could the ancient Egyptians have known something that we are only beginning to understand? As we leave behind the layers of ancient Egypt and the shifting sands that guard the secrets of lost temples, we now turn our attention to a site of equally immense wonder, a place where stone has been shaped into something far beyond ordinary craftsmanship. We journey to the caves of ELLORA, a complex carved into the heart of the Deccan Plateau in India, where the Kailasa temple stands as one of the most extraordinary and enigmatic structures ever built. Nestled within this ancient cave complex is a monolithic marvel that continues to defy explanation: the Kailasa temple. Imagine, if you will, standing before this monumental structure, a temple carved entirely from a single block of rock. The Kailasa temple is not a typical temple. It is not merely built upon the surface of the earth, but carved downward from the very depths of the earth itself. The sheer scale of the structure is staggering. The temple, which is believed to have been constructed in the 8th century CE during the Rashtrakuta dynasty, is a towering multi-story complex adorned with intricate carvings, sculpted pillars, and elaborate reliefs, all painstakingly chiseled from the living rock. What sets the Kailasa temple apart from any other temple or monument in the world is its method of construction. It was not built upwards like most temples, brick by brick, but rather it was hewn from the rock itself, starting from the top and working downward. The temple's designers and artisans began by cutting into the solid volcanic basalt rock, carving away the stone in such a way that they left behind a fully realized structure, an entire temple complex, with shrines, courtyards, and intricate passageways, all carved into the living rock from above. The question immediately arises: how was this feat achieved with the tools and technology of the 8th century? Even with modern machinery, such a project would be an immense challenge, requiring not only great skill, but also a clear vision of the end result. A design so sophisticated that it appears almost otherworldly. The Kailasa temple is a work of art, yet its creation method seems to have been almost impossibly advanced for its time. The temple's size is equally awe-inspiring. At nearly 30 meters high and covering an area of over 2,000 square meters, the Kailasa temple is the largest monolithic structure in the world. It stands as a testament to the ingenuity and devotion of the craftsmen who created it, but it also raises a host of unanswered questions. How were they able to conceive of such a complex design? What methods did they use to transport the massive amounts of rock that were removed to create the temple's intricate features. The scale of this construction would have required an unparalleled understanding of engineering and design, and yet there is little record of how the builders achieved it. Mainstream scholars generally attribute the construction of the Kailasa temple to the Rashtrakuta dynasty, which ruled over parts of India during the 8th century. According to historical records, the temple was carved under the patronage of King Krishna I, a ruler known for his support of art, religion, and architecture. It is said that the temple was dedicated to Lord Shiva, one of the principal deities of Hinduism, and it is richly decorated with sculptures depicting stories from Hindu mythology, including the marriage of Shiva and Parvati, and the demon king Ravana's attempt to lift Mount Kailash, Shiva's abode. However, despite the widely accepted historical narrative, the manner in which the Kailasa temple was constructed has sparked a variety of theories, some more plausible than others. Scholars have pondered how such a feat could have been accomplished with only basic tools, especially given the precision and complexity of the carvings. Even modern engineers, upon studying the temple, have been left in awe of its construction. Many suggest that advanced techniques were employed, but what exactly those techniques might have been is still the subject of intense debate. Some believe that the builders may have used wooden scaffolding and possibly even a system of ramps to remove the stone in the necessary amounts. Others, however, speculate that a sophisticated understanding of sound, vibration, or even some kind of lost technology could have played a role in shaping the temple. Could the builders have had access to knowledge that we are only beginning to uncover? Some fringe theories even suggest that the builders of the Kailasa temple possessed knowledge of acoustics or resonance, a technology so advanced that it allowed them to cut the stone with such precision that it appears to have been done with ease. Still, no clear answers have emerged. What is certain, however, is that the Kailasa temple is a monument to human creativity and devotion that transcends the boundaries of ordinary architecture. Its sheer audacity and scale make it one of the most remarkable achievements of ancient engineering. Yet, it stands as a silent reminder of how much we still do not know about the ancient world and its capabilities. In addition to its architectural brilliance, the Kailasa temple is filled with symbolic meaning. The structure itself is an embodiment of the cosmic Mount Kailash, considered the abode of Shiva in Hindu mythology. The temple's intricate carvings tell the stories of gods and demons, of cosmic battles and divine triumphs. These reliefs are not merely decorative, but are said to reflect the beliefs and religious practices of the people who built them. The Kailasa temple, then, is not just an architectural feat. It is a spiritual and cultural artifact, a link to a time when divine forces were thought to govern the natural world. Perhaps one of the most intriguing aspects of the Kailasa temple is the complete lack of historical records that provide insight into its construction. In a world where monumental works of architecture were often accompanied by written records, the Kailasa temple stands as an anomaly. There are no detailed accounts of how the temple was conceived, nor are there any surviving blueprints or descriptions of the building process. This absence of documentation has fueled speculation about its creation and has led some to wonder if there is more to the temple's story than we know. Could the Kailasa temple be a relic of an ancient civilization with knowledge lost to history? Some theorists suggest that the builders may have had access to long-forgotten techniques, or even divine inspiration that allowed them to achieve such a monumental feat. Others wonder if the temple's design is a testament to a deeper understanding of the universe, an alignment with cosmic forces, perhaps, or a reflection of ancient wisdom that transcends time and space. The Kailasa temple remains a mystery, a monument carved in stone that defies easy explanation. It stands as a silent witness to a lost world, a world that may have known secrets and technologies that we are only beginning to uncover. As we look upon this awe-inspiring structure, we are left to ponder what other secrets might lie hidden in the ancient ruins, waiting to be discovered. What knowledge, forgotten by time, could the builders of the Kailasa temple have left behind for future generations to uncover? As we stand before the Kailasa temple, the question remains: could there be more to this extraordinary monument than meets the eye? As we leave behind the monolithic wonders of the Kailasa temple and the intricacies of ancient rock carving, our journey now takes us beneath the waves to a place that has captured the human imagination for centuries. It is a place of myth and mystery, where the line between history and legend becomes difficult to discern. We are talking, of course, about the fabled lost civilization of Atlantis. Imagine, if you will, the scene. A vast, prosperous city, its grand temples gleaming under the sun, its streets lined with marble palaces and bustling marketplaces. From the horizon, one might have seen a mighty civilization flourishing, its people living in harmony with nature and possessing knowledge far beyond what we can imagine today. But then, as if the gods themselves had willed it, the entire city, with all its grandeur, vanished beneath the sea in a single cataclysmic event. This is the image of Atlantis painted by the ancient Greek philosopher Plato, who, in his dialogues, Timaeus and Critias, first described the civilization over 2,000 years ago. According to Plato, Atlantis was an island located beyond the Pillars of Hercules, what we now call the Strait of Gibraltar, some 9,000 years before his time. The Atlanteans, as Plato described them, were an advanced people, technologically sophisticated, with a powerful navy, a highly organized society, and a wealth of knowledge that allowed them to build massive structures and manipulate the natural world. Yet, despite their greatness, their downfall came swiftly. The gods, displeased with their arrogance and moral decay, struck Atlantis with a divine fury, sending it to the depths of the ocean. Since Plato's time, Atlantis has been the subject of endless speculation. Scholars, historians, and adventurers alike have tried to separate fact from fiction. But the deeper we dig, the more questions arise. Was Atlantis simply a creation of Plato's imagination, a fictional city meant to illustrate philosophical principles? Or was there some kernel of truth to the story, a real civilization that flourished and then disappeared, leaving behind only fragments of its once great culture? Mainstream scholars largely dismiss the story of Atlantis as allegorical, a cautionary tale about hubris and the fragility of human civilization. Plato himself, however, claimed that his account was based on the writings of ancient Egyptian priests, who described the story as historical fact. But no other records from antiquity corroborate Plato's narrative, and no archaeological evidence has ever surfaced to suggest that such a civilization ever existed. Yet, the idea of Atlantis refuses to fade. Throughout history, countless explorers and researchers have speculated about its true location. Some have suggested that Atlantis was located in the Mediterranean, possibly on the island of Santorini, whose volcanic eruption in the 16th century BCE caused widespread devastation. Others have posited that it might have been somewhere in the Caribbean, in the Bermuda Triangle, or even beneath the ice of Antarctica. All of these theories are rooted in the belief that there was, at one point, a real civilization that somehow disappeared, leaving behind only tantalizing clues. In the early 20th century, a new wave of interest in Atlantis emerged, driven by the growing fascination with lost civilizations and ancient technologies. Scholars began to consider whether Atlantis could have been a precursor to other ancient cultures, such as the Minoans or the ancient Egyptians. Could the Atlanteans have been a people who possessed technologies lost to time? Could they have developed advanced methods of architecture, energy, or navigation that were later forgotten by history? One of the more intriguing aspects of the Atlantis story is the technological sophistication attributed to the civilization. Plato spoke of the Atlanteans' ability to build vast, intricate cities, complete with concentric rings of land and water. They were said to have harnessed advanced knowledge of metallurgy, engineering, and agriculture, allowing them to create a utopian society that seemed almost too perfect to be true. Yet, despite this apparent prosperity, their downfall came not from external invasion, but from within, due to moral decline and the loss of their reverence for the gods. This vision of an advanced lost civilization has fueled speculative theories for centuries. Some have suggested that Atlantis was not just a city, but an entire civilization, whose knowledge and achievements were so far ahead of their time that it could explain the rapid advancement of later cultures. Was it possible that the Atlanteans had discovered something akin to modern electricity, or perhaps an advanced form of energy, long lost to us today? Could their ships have sailed across the world, spreading their knowledge to other ancient peoples? These questions only deepen the mystery, inviting more theories about what the people of Atlantis might have known. In the realm of fringe theories, some have even speculated that Atlantis was an extraterrestrial civilization, or that it was in contact with beings from other worlds. This idea has captivated a number of modern theorists who argue that the technological knowledge of the Atlanteans may have been the result of an advanced alien influence, and that the gods Plato described could have been extraterrestrial visitors. These ideas, while not grounded in mainstream archaeology, add to the allure and mystique of Atlantis, framing it not just as a lost civilization, but as something far more enigmatic. Despite the lack of concrete evidence, the search for Atlantis continues. Over the years, various expeditions have scoured the ocean floor for signs of submerged cities, and researchers have examined ancient maps and texts in search of clues that might point to the fabled island. In 2001, an underwater exploration team even claimed to have discovered ruins near the Canary Islands that they believed could be the remnants of Atlantis. However, the evidence was inconclusive, and the mystery of the lost city remains unsolved. Yet the very idea of Atlantis continues to captivate us because it speaks to something deep within the human psyche. It is a reminder of what we have lost and what we may still be capable of discovering. The story of Atlantis reflects our desire to understand our origins and the potential for greatness that lies within us. It speaks of a time when humanity might have reached its pinnacle only to be undone by its own flaws and excesses. Could Atlantis have existed? Could there have been an ancient civilization that was so advanced that it left no trace behind? Or was Atlantis simply the product of Plato's imagination, a metaphor for the rise and fall of civilizations throughout history? The quest for answers continues. Every discovery made, whether it's an ancient artifact, a submerged city, or a cryptic text, adds a new piece to the puzzle. But for now, the story of Atlantis remains just that, a story. One that has sparked our imaginations, challenged our assumptions, and invited us to wonder about what might still lie hidden beneath the waves. What could still be out there, waiting to be uncovered? And could the lost civilization of Atlantis be more than just a myth? From the depths of the ocean, where the fabled city of Atlantis is said to rest, we now journey to the sun-baked sands of Egypt, where another mystery, small yet profoundly significant, has lingered for centuries. It is an artifact that has puzzled archaeologists and ignited the curiosity of those who seek to understand the advanced knowledge of the ancient Egyptians. This is the SAQQARA bird, a peculiar and enigmatic object discovered within the tombs of Saqqara, a vast necropolis just outside of Cairo. The bird itself is not large, just a few inches in length, but its implications are far-reaching. Carved from wood, it features a distinct shape, with a pointed nose, a streamlined body, and an apparent focus on aerodynamic design. It is unmistakably bird-like, but its purpose is a question that continues to evade straightforward answers. Discovered in 1898 by Egyptian archaeologist Wilhelm Spiegelberg, the object was found within the tomb of a high-ranking official named Pa-di-Emen, who lived during the First Dynasty of Egypt, around 3000 BCE. The SAQQARA bird has captivated the imagination of archaeologists and historians ever since. At first glance, it might appear to be a simple wooden model, a toy, or perhaps a ceremonial object, but upon closer inspection, something becomes immediately apparent. The form of the bird is not just stylized, but appears to have been crafted with an understanding of aerodynamics. Its wings are carefully shaped, and the body is sleek, almost as though it were designed to take flight. Its dimensions are odd, too small to be a practical representation of any real bird, and too deliberately crafted to be dismissed as an ornamental trinket. What was the true purpose of this object? Was it simply a symbolic representation, or could it have been something more? A model for an ancient understanding of flight. The mainstream theory, which has stood for many years, is that the SAQQARA bird was a symbolic object, perhaps meant to represent the god Horus, the ancient Egyptian deity often depicted as a falcon. In this interpretation, the bird is not a literal attempt at flight, but rather a representation of divine power and the association between kingship and the heavens. For the ancient Egyptians, the sky was the domain of the gods, and the ability to soar above the earth symbolized a connection to the divine. The bird, therefore, could have served as a spiritual artifact, a connection between the physical world and the divine realm. But this explanation, while plausible, does not fully address the intriguing features of the SAQQARA bird. For one, it is not just a crude carving. The craftsmanship suggests a level of sophistication, and some have speculated that it might represent a much more practical purpose. In fact, over the years, several researchers have proposed that the SAQQARA bird could be a model for an ancient flying machine, or even a glider designed to mimic the principles of flight. This theory hinges on the idea that the ancient Egyptians possessed a deep understanding of aerodynamics, knowledge that we typically associate with much later cultures, such as the pioneers of modern flight in the 20th century. One of the more intriguing aspects of this theory is the presence of a small hole at the base of the bird's tail. Some believe that this could be a stabilizing rudder, a feature essential for control in flight. The wings of the bird are also angled in a way that could suggest they were intended for lift, as though the object was meant to be launched, perhaps as a glider. If this is true, it would imply that the ancient Egyptians were not only aware of flight, but may have even experimented with it. In the 1960s, a German engineer named Dr. Peter Krüte conducted an experiment that reignited interest in this theory. Using the dimensions of the SAQQARA bird, Kruta built a replica and launched it into the air. To his astonishment, the replica glided smoothly, suggesting that the object could indeed function as a small glider. While the experiment was far from conclusive, it did raise more questions than it answered. Was the SAQQARA bird merely a model of a bird, or did it represent something more, a glimpse into an ancient knowledge of aerodynamics that has since been lost to time? Yet, even with this intriguing experiment, there is no definitive proof that the SAQQARA bird was anything other than a symbolic object. Critics argue that its design could simply be a stylized representation, one that reflects the bird's importance in Egyptian iconography rather than any practical purpose. Others suggest that the object could have been a form of toy or ritual offering, something to accompany the deceased into the afterlife, rather than an attempt at flight. After all, the ancient Egyptians had a deep and profound belief in the spiritual power of animals, and the falcon, in particular, was revered as a symbol of the soul's ascent to the heavens. Despite these explanations, the mystery remains. Could the SAQQARA bird truly be a model for an ancient flying machine? Could the ancient Egyptians have known more about flight than we have been led to believe? Or was it simply a work of art, reflecting the reverence for birds and their connection to the divine? The mystery only deepens when we consider the broader context of ancient Egyptian achievements. The Egyptians are known for their monumental architecture, their advanced understanding of mathematics and engineering, and their ability to create technologies that still baffle us today. Could it be that the SAQQARA bird is another piece of evidence that ancient civilizations possessed a knowledge of science and technology far beyond what we have traditionally credited them with? In the absence of concrete evidence, we are left to wonder, is the SAQQARA bird a symbol of divine power, or is it a forgotten relic of an ancient attempt to understand the laws of flight? Could this small wooden object be a clue to a greater, undiscovered truth about the ancient Egyptians' understanding of the world? The answers, like so many of the mysteries we've explored, remain elusive. But as long as the SAQQARA bird rests in the shadows of the past, it continues to invite us to look deeper, to question what we know, and to wonder what might still be hidden beneath the sands of time. What secrets could the SAQQARA bird reveal about the ancient Egyptians' understanding of flight? And is it possible that ancient civilizations knew more than we give them credit for? As we continue our journey through the unexplained mysteries of the ancient world, we now find ourselves on the plains of modern-day Pakistan, where one of the most remarkable and enigmatic ancient cities rests beneath the earth. The site is MOHENJO-DARO, part of the Indus Valley civilization, a culture that flourished over 4,000 years ago, long before the rise of the great empires of Egypt and Mesopotamia. MOHENJO-DARO is a city that seems to have been ahead of its time. The layout of the city is striking, with its grid pattern of streets, sophisticated drainage systems, and advanced urban planning. The people of MOHENJO-DARO were skilled engineers, mathematicians, and builders, creating a civilization that would influence the regions around it for centuries to come. But beneath the impressive architecture and organized streets lies a darker, more perplexing mystery. In the early 20th century, as archaeologists unearthed the remains of this ancient city, they began to notice something that would take decades to fully appreciate. The ruins of MOHENJO-DARO were unlike those of other ancient cities. In some places, the buildings were found to be partially melted, their bricks and walls showing signs of intense heat as though they had been subjected to a force of immense power. Human skeletal remains were also discovered, scattered across the city in an unusual manner. Some were found lying face up, others twisted in unnatural positions, as if they had been caught in a violent and sudden catastrophe. In the decades following the discovery, scholars began to investigate the possibility that the destruction of Mohenjo-Daro was not caused by conventional means, such as warfare or natural disasters, but by something far more mysterious and troubling. Some pointed to the possibility that the ancient city had fallen victim to a form of destruction so catastrophic it could be described only in terms we associate with modern warfare, specifically nuclear weaponry. The theory of ancient nuclear destruction was first proposed by Dr. David Davenport in the 1970s, and it has since captured the imaginations of many who wonder whether the Indus Valley civilization met its end through a technology far more advanced than anything we might expect for its time. Davenport pointed to the evidence of intense heat, suggesting that it could have been caused by a nuclear explosion. This idea was further bolstered by the presence of vitrified materials, stones and bricks that had been melted and then cooled into a glass-like substance. Such vitrification is often seen in the aftermath of nuclear blasts, which can generate temperatures hot enough to melt stone. Adding to this mysterious puzzle are the skeletal remains found at Mohenjo-Daro. Some of these bones exhibited unusual levels of radioactivity, suggesting that the people who perished there may have been exposed to extreme radiation. While some researchers argue that this could be the result of natural processes, others suggest that it could be evidence of a nuclear event, an event that would have left its mark on the very bones of those who lived through it. But does this evidence truly point to a nuclear catastrophe? Or are we reading too much into the ruins of a civilization that collapsed in a manner we still don't fully understand? The mainstream explanation for the fall of Mohenjo-Daro is less sensational. Many scholars believe that the city was abandoned due to a combination of environmental changes, such as shifts in the course of the nearby river, and socio-political factors. The Indus Valley civilization, like other ancient cultures, faced challenges that eventually led to its decline. Changes in climate, flooding, and possibly the depletion of resources could have made the region inhospitable, causing the people to leave. Some experts also point to the fact that the city appears to have been abandoned gradually, rather than destroyed in a cataclysmic event. However, the presence of mysterious, seemingly anomalous evidence cannot be dismissed entirely. Could the destruction of Mohenjo-Daro have been the result of an event that we cannot easily categorize using our modern understanding of ancient history? Could it be that the Indus Valley civilization had access to a technology far ahead of its time? Perhaps even an early form of nuclear energy or weaponry that has since been lost to history. The theory of ancient nuclear warfare was further popularized in the 1970s by the Indian scholar Dr. S.K. Chatterjee, who also examined the ruins of Mohenjo-Daro. Chatterjee noted that many of the cities of the Indus Valley, including Mohenjo-Daro, showed signs of extreme heat, and he suggested that this could be consistent with the effects of a nuclear explosion. Other researchers have pointed to similarities between the descriptions of ancient destruction found in the Indian epics, such as the Mahabharata, and modern accounts of nuclear warfare. In the Mahabharata, there are vivid descriptions of a weapon capable of destroying entire cities, turning the ground to ash, and leaving the air filled with a deadly radiation. Some proponents of the nuclear theory have drawn parallels between these ancient texts and the evidence found at Mohenjo-Daro, suggesting that the destruction of the city could have been the result of an ancient, forgotten weapon. Despite the intriguing evidence, The mainstream view remains that the collapse of the Indus Valley civilization was likely caused by environmental and social factors. Archaeologists have found no conclusive evidence of a nuclear explosion, and there is no direct indication that the people of Mohenjo-Daro possessed the kind of advanced technology needed for such a devastating event. Some scientists argue that the vitrification of materials could have been caused by natural forces, such as lightning strikes or massive fires, rather than a nuclear explosion. But the mystery endures. The question remains: how did this sophisticated civilization meet its end? Was it a natural catastrophe? Or was it something more extraordinary, a weapon or force beyond our comprehension? As we stand before the ruins of Mohenjo-Daro, it is impossible not to wonder whether we are looking at the remnants of a civilization that reached heights of knowledge and technology far beyond what we know. Were the people of the Indus Valley simply advanced engineers, or could they have unlocked the secrets of energy and destruction in ways we have yet to understand? The evidence: vitrified bricks, radioactivity, strange skeletal remains, seems to point to an extraordinary and unexplained event. But as with many mysteries of the ancient world, the truth remains just beyond our reach. Yet what truly happened to Mohenjo-Daro? Did an ancient nuclear catastrophe destroy this city, or is it a case of a more complex series of events that we are yet to fully unravel? The answers, like so many mysteries in the world of ancient history, continue to elude us, leaving us to wonder what other secrets might still lie buried beneath the dust of time. As we shift our focus to yet another profound enigma of the ancient world, we journey to the island of Crete, nestled in the heart of the Mediterranean Sea. It is here, in the ruins of the ancient Minoan civilization, that one of history's most baffling artifacts was uncovered: the Phaistos disk. The disk itself is a small circular object made of fired clay, measuring roughly 6 inches in diameter. Its surface is covered with intricate symbols, 45 distinct signs, arranged in a spiral pattern. Each symbol is unique, some resembling human figures, animals, and various geometric shapes. The strange characters appear to have been stamped onto the disk using individual seal-like stamps, suggesting an elaborate method of production, and the marks are so precise that the disk seems almost too refined for its time. Discovered in 1908 by the Italian archaeologist Luigi Pernier at the Minoan palace of Phaistos, the disk was found in a layer of rubble, seemingly discarded or lost to the sands of time. It has since become one of the most mysterious objects in archaeological history. What makes the Phaistos disk particularly captivating is not just its strange symbols, but the fact that no one has been able to definitively decipher its meaning. Despite the best efforts of linguists, historians, and cryptographers, the disk's script remains as elusive today as it was when it was first uncovered. The Phaistos disk is believed to date back to the late Minoan period, around 1450 BCE, during the height of the civilization. The Minoans, known for their advanced culture, intricate art, and seafaring prowess, left behind many remarkable artifacts. Yet the Phaistos disk stands apart, an anomaly that resists all attempts at understanding. For decades, scholars have debated its purpose. Was it a form of writing, a kind of proto-alphabet, or perhaps a religious or ritual object? The spiral arrangement of symbols on the disk suggests that it may have been used for communication, potentially as a written record, though this is far from certain. Some believe that it might be a form of early bookkeeping, a calendar, or even an ancient game, a sort of Minoan board game, with the symbols serving as game pieces or instructions. Others speculate that the disc could be a ceremonial object, its symbols holding religious or mystical significance, perhaps related to the Minoans' rituals or spiritual beliefs. Yet, despite numerous theories, no one has been able to provide a definitive answer. Some of the symbols on the disc resemble those found on other Minoan artifacts, such as the linear A script, a system of writing used by the Minoans that has never been fully deciphered. This connection suggests that the disc may indeed represent a form of writing, but if so, why does it differ so dramatically from any other known script of the time? The mystery of the Phaistos disc has only deepened over the years. Numerous attempts have been made to decode its symbols. Linguists and cryptographers have analyzed the patterns, but all efforts have yielded no clear answers. The fact that no other examples of the script have been found, no inscriptions, no documents, no other discs, only adds to the mystery. The disc's apparent isolation in both form and function suggests that it may have been a unique creation, perhaps even an object that was never widely used or understood. A number of fringe theories have also emerged over the years, some suggesting that the disc may not be Minoan at all. Could it be a forgery, crafted centuries later to deceive? While this theory has largely been dismissed by most scholars, the possibility that the disc could have been produced as a hoax does remain a point of speculation. Others have posited that the symbols might represent an early form of communication with extraterrestrial beings, suggesting that the Minoans were in contact with otherworldly forces, a theory that, while captivating, remains highly speculative. Another theory that has gained some attention is the suggestion that the Phaistos disc could be an ancient precursor to the modern concept of the phonetic alphabet, a writing system where each symbol represents a sound rather than a meaning. If true, this would make the disc an extraordinary artifact, potentially reshaping our understanding of the development of written language. However, the lack of a known Rosetta Stone, a key that could help unlock the meaning of the symbols, means that this theory remains purely speculative. Despite the attention the disc has garnered, no consensus has been reached. Many scholars agree that the disc is, at its core, a unique artifact that may have once had an important function within Minoan society. But what that function was remains an open question. Could it have been a key to understanding Minoan culture, religion, or communication? Or is it simply a curiosity, an object whose purpose and meaning have been lost to the ages? What adds to the allure of the Phaistos disc is its symbolism as a mysterious artifact of a lost civilization. The Minoans themselves are a people shrouded in mystery, their culture and history only partially understood. We know little of their origins, their language, or their eventual decline, and the Phaistos disc stands as a symbol of that uncertainty. It is as if the disc is a cryptic message from a long-forgotten world, one that still resists our attempts at comprehension. The true meaning of the Phaistos disc may never be known. The symbols may forever remain a riddle, and the story behind it may be lost in the annals of time. But even in its silence, the disc invites us to wonder, what knowledge or wisdom did the Minoans once possess? Was this disc a tool for communication, a ritual object, or something else entirely? And why, after thousands of years, does it continue to elude our understanding? As we ponder the secrets of the Phaistos disc, we are reminded that the mysteries of the ancient world are not easily solved. Sometimes the answers lie not in the details we uncover, but in the questions they leave behind, questions that provoke curiosity and spark the imagination, even as they remain unanswered. The Phaistos disk, like so many ancient artifacts, beckons us to consider the possibility that there is much more to the story of human civilization than we have yet discovered. What else might be hidden, waiting to be unearthed and understood in the ancient ruins of forgotten cultures? The mystery, like the symbols on the disk itself, remains an open question, one that may never be fully answered, but which will continue to captivate and intrigue us for generations to come. As we move from the lush, veiled wilderness of the Amazon into the depths of the sea, the air shifts. The pulse of the jungle gives way to the slow, hypnotic rhythm of waves. Here, at the westernmost edge of Japan's Ryukyu Islands, a different kind of mystery lies waiting, not cloaked in foliage, but submerged beneath the ocean's shimmering surface. Just off the coast of Yonaguni, a small wind-swept island where fishermen cast nets and storms roll in from the East China Sea, divers in the mid-1980s encountered something unexpected. Beneath 25 meters of turquoise water, a vast structure emerges from the sea floor, geometric, angular, and strangely deliberate. Towering platforms, sharp stair-like terraces, massive right angles that seem out of place in nature. Some have called it Japan's Atlantis, others a natural formation shaped by millennia of underwater currents and tectonic shifts. Officially, it is known as the Yonaguni Monument. But what exactly is it? Measuring over 150 meters in length and rising some 27 meters from the seafloor, the structure resembles a step pyramid, its sides broad and flat, its edges startlingly precise. Divers report what appear to be wide steps, flat platforms, and symmetrical corridors. There are even areas some describe as roads or passageways carved with an eerie regularity. One section is often referred to as the stage, a flat, open area that feels to some uncannily ceremonial. But here is where the story begins to diverge. Mainstream geologists, such as Professor Masaki Kimura, who studied the monument for years, initially proposed that it could be man-made, possibly a sunken city belonging to a forgotten civilization that once inhabited the region. Kimura later expanded his claims, identifying what he believed to be stone tablets, wall-like formations, and even pictographs resembling ancient Japanese characters. Yet, the majority of the scientific community remains cautious. They argue that the monument's features can be explained by natural processes. Yonaguni lies in a tectonically active zone where sandstone and mudstone are prone to fracturing along bedding plains. Earthquakes, ocean currents, and time itself can carve unexpected shapes into stone. Nature, it seems, can mimic design, but can it mimic intent? That is the central question that continues to haunt those who descend into these waters. The lines are too clean, some say. The platforms too level. In one area, a sharp L-shaped corner forms what appears to be a precise intersection. Another looks like a staircase flanked by what might be pillars or guardians. Could it truly all be the result of natural erosion? The debate deepens when placed in historical context. If the monument were man-made, it would have to predate the last ice age, at least 10,000 years ago, when sea levels were significantly lower. That would make it older than any known civilization in Japan, and perhaps among the oldest human structures on Earth. No known culture in the region at that time possessed the tools or organizational capacity for such monumental architecture. But then again, our knowledge of prehistory, especially in maritime regions, is fragmentary at best. And so, speculation grows. Some propose that Yonaguni is a remnant of Mu, a hypothetical lost continent, often described in fringe theories as the Pacific counterpart to Atlantis. Others suggest it is the ceremonial heart of an unknown maritime culture, one whose settlements and records now lie scattered across the ocean floor. There are even theories that attribute the monument's design to extraterrestrial visitors, though these ideas remain outside the bounds of conventional archaeology. Still, the structure remains silent and immovable beneath the sea. No inscriptions have been definitively identified. No tools or artifacts have been recovered from the site. If it was carved by human hands, then those hands and the civilization they belong to have vanished without a trace. What complicates the matter further is the way the human mind interprets form. We are pattern-seeking by nature. When we see symmetry, alignment, or proportion, we instinctively assign meaning. A step becomes a stair. A flat surface becomes a stage. But are we projecting intention where none exists? Or are we witnessing the eroded bones of a world long forgotten? Even now, the waters of Yonaguni remain relatively unexplored. Visibility can be limited. Tides are strong, and funding for deep underwater archaeology is scarce. As the years pass, the monument continues to erode, further blurring the line between natural wonder and possible relic. Yet, something about Yonaguni lingers in the imagination. Perhaps it's the isolation, the surreal clarity of the underwater site, or the idea that a structure so vast, so enigmatic, could remain hidden for so long in plain sight, beneath a sea navigated for centuries. No definitive answer has been reached. And maybe that's what makes the monument so compelling. Could there have been a civilization here long before the tides rose, long before history began to be written in ink and stone? For now, Yonaguni remains an echo, a riddle in stone, cradled by the ocean, waiting to be read. As we continue our journey through unexplained ancient mysteries, we turn to a civilization that has long evaded definitive discovery, the Tartessos. Nestled along the southern coast of the Iberian Peninsula, in what is now modern-day Spain, Tartessos was an ancient society that flourished centuries before the rise of classical Greece and Rome. Yet, despite its early prominence, the civilization has largely faded from the historical record. Shrouded in myth, legend, and uncertainty, the story of Tartessos begins with its location. Imagine the vast sun-drenched plains of Andalusia, where the Guadalquivir River gently winds its way toward the Mediterranean. The land, rich with natural resources like precious metals and a fertile soil, is a setting that would have been perfect for the development of a prosperous culture. And indeed it was. The Tartessians, according to ancient accounts, were known for their wealth, their advanced metalworking skills, and their seafaring capabilities. But beyond these tantalizing glimpses, much of their civilization remains a mystery. Tartessos was first mentioned by the Greek historian Herodotus in the 5th century BCE. According to him, the Tartessians were a wealthy people, famous for their gold, silver, and tin, which they traded with Mediterranean societies like the Phoenicians and the Greeks. The wealth of Tartessos was so great that Herodotus even compared it to the legendary riches of King Midas. The Greeks were particularly fascinated by Tartessos' position at the crossroads of the Mediterranean world, a place where East met West and cultures collided. But despite Herodotus' account, no definitive archaeological evidence of the Tartessians' existence was found for centuries. The civilization was thought to have vanished sometime around the 6th century BCE, and many early historians and archaeologists assumed that Tartessos was nothing more than a myth, a legend passed down by ancient storytellers. The name itself seemed almost too poetic, too fantastical to be real. In the 20th century, however, discoveries began to surface that suggested Tartessos might indeed have existed and that it was far more advanced than previously thought. Excavations in the southwestern region of Spain, particularly around the marshes of the Guadalquivir River, have revealed evidence of a vibrant and complex society. Ancient settlements, burial mounds, and even intricate artifacts have been unearthed, pointing to a civilization that may have been the precursor to the great Iberian empires that would follow. But while these discoveries have confirmed that Tartessos existed, they have done little to resolve the mysteries surrounding it. For one, the exact location of the Tartessian capital remains uncertain. For years, the town of Huelva was considered the site of the mythical city, but recent excavations have cast doubt on this theory. Some archaeologists have even speculated that Tartessos may have been a network of cities or settlements spread out across the region, rather than a singular centralized kingdom. Perhaps the most puzzling element of the Tartessos civilization is its sudden disappearance. Ancient texts describe the Tartessians as a powerful force in the Mediterranean, with a thriving economy built on the trade of precious metals and agricultural goods. But by the end of the 6th century BCE, the records vanish. Some accounts suggest that the Tartessos fell victim to a catastrophic flood or natural disaster, an event so severe that it wiped the civilization from the map. This theory is supported by the discovery of ancient flood deposits in the region, leading some researchers to believe that the Guadalquivir River may have changed course, submerging Tartessos beneath the water. However, this is purely speculative, and no definitive evidence of such an event has been uncovered. Another theory is that the Tartessians fell to outside invaders, perhaps the Phoenicians or the Carthaginians, who were expanding their empires during this time. While the Phoenicians had long been trading partners with the Tartessians, their growing dominance in the Mediterranean could have overshadowed Tartessos, leading to its eventual decline. Yet, like the flood theory, this remains unproven. No evidence of large-scale warfare or conquest has been found at Tartessian sites. Even the identity of the Tartessians themselves remains a subject of debate. The ancient Greeks and Romans were often vague in their descriptions of the people they encountered, referring to the Tartessians as barbarians, a term that in the ancient world applied to almost every non-Greek civilization. Yet archaeological evidence suggests that the Tartessians were far from primitive. They possessed advanced knowledge of metallurgy, creating finely crafted bronze and gold objects. They were skilled sailors and traders, and their influence can be seen in the artifacts they left behind, many of which have been found across the Mediterranean. Some have speculated that the Tartessians may have had contact with even more ancient cultures, including the Egyptians, whose influence is visible in certain symbols and motifs found in Tartessian art. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Tartessos civilization is the discovery of a series of enigmatic inscriptions, some of which appear to be written in a language that has yet to be fully deciphered. These inscriptions, found on artifacts such as pottery and bronze tablets, seem to hint at a sophisticated system of writing. If this is true, it would suggest that the Tartessians had a written language long before the Greeks or Romans, and perhaps even before the Phoenicians. But even more mysterious are the tales that swirl around Tartessos. Local legends speak of a golden city, a place of unimaginable wealth that sank beneath the waves, lost forever to time. Could this be the truth behind the sudden disappearance of the Tartessian civilization? Is it possible that the city of Tartessos, or its capital, was submerged by an ancient catastrophe, a cataclysmic event that erased all traces of the once great civilization? The theory that Tartessos was destroyed in a flood has its own complications. How could such an advanced society be entirely obliterated, leaving no survivors, no records, and no trace? And why, If this was the case, did the ancient Greeks continue to speak of Tartessos long after its disappearance? Could there be a deeper connection to this lost civilization, one that has yet to be fully understood? As we search for answers, it becomes clear that the legacy of Tartessos is not just in the artifacts they left behind or the brief mentions in ancient texts. It is the unanswered questions that still linger. The mystery of the lost civilization continues to beckon scholars and adventurers alike, each hoping to uncover the secrets of a society that may have once ruled the Western Mediterranean, only to vanish without a trace. In the end, we are left to wonder, was Tartessos merely a footnote in history? Or is there a forgotten chapter of human civilization waiting to be rediscovered beneath the waters of the Guadalquivir River? Or perhaps buried in the sands of time itself? As the golden sun rises over the sprawling desert of Egypt, a colossal shadow looms on the horizon, casting a sense of awe and mystery. There, in the heart of the Giza Plateau, stands the Great Pyramid, the largest and most enigmatic of all the ancient wonders. For millennia, it has defied explanation, a silent testament to the ingenuity and ambition of a civilization that flourished over 4,500 years ago. But even now, as we stand at its base, gazing up at its towering presence, there are more questions than answers. The Great Pyramid is an extraordinary sight, not just in its scale, but in the precision of its construction. Standing at over 480 feet tall, it was the tallest man-made structure in the world for nearly 4,000 years, made up of approximately 2.3 million limestone blocks, each weighing several tons. The sheer effort involved in constructing this monument is staggering. Yet, when we look closer, we are drawn not just to the scale of the pyramid, but to the mysteries it contains. The pyramid, built during the 4th dynasty of Egypt, around 2580 BCE, is traditionally attributed to Pharaoh Khufu, also known as Cheops. It is part of a larger complex, including smaller pyramids for queens, a vast network of tombs, and the iconic Sphinx, an awe-inspiring figure that gazes out toward the horizon. For centuries, it was thought that the pyramid's purpose was straightforward: a royal tomb designed to honor Khufu and ensure his safe passage to the afterlife. But as we delve deeper into the pyramid's history, we begin to see that this assumption is far from certain. The more we learn about the Great Pyramid, the more it becomes clear that its true purpose, its very origin, remains a topic of fierce debate. Despite the immense effort and resources that went into building it, no inscription in the pyramid itself confirms its construction under Khufu's reign. In fact, the most direct mention of Khufu inside the pyramid is found in a single, unfinished graffito, far from the grandeur we would expect for such a monumental tomb. As we begin to investigate further, we are confronted with more perplexing questions. How exactly was the pyramid built? Mainstream Egyptology holds that it was constructed using a large workforce of laborers, some of whom were likely skilled artisans, while others were seasonal workers recruited from around Egypt. Yet, despite years of excavation and research, no definitive evidence has been uncovered to explain the methods used to move and position the massive stones with such precision. The construction theories range from the conventional to the outlandish. One common explanation is that ramps were used to transport the blocks to the higher levels of the pyramid as it was constructed. However, there are no visible traces of these ramps, leaving many researchers to wonder, were the ramps entirely dismantled after the pyramid's completion, or did the Egyptians use a completely different, unknown method of construction? And then there are those who argue that the ramp theory is too simplistic. Could the Egyptians have employed advanced techniques lost to time, methods far beyond what we understand today? But the mysteries don't stop there. The Great Pyramid's alignment is another perplexing aspect. The pyramid is aligned with incredible accuracy to the cardinal points, north, south, east, and west, almost perfectly. In fact, it is aligned within 0.05 degrees of true north, a feat that even modern surveying instruments might struggle to replicate with such precision. How did the ancient Egyptians achieve this? Some suggest that the alignment was accomplished by observing the stars, but this raises yet another question. Did the Egyptians possess astronomical knowledge far more advanced than we have credited them for? Even more mysterious is the pyramid's internal structure. Within the Great Pyramid, a series of chambers and passageways have been discovered, including the King's Chamber, the Queen's Chamber, and the Grand Gallery. The King's Chamber, made of granite, contains a sarcophagus, but no mummy has ever been found. Was the pyramid truly meant as a tomb? Or was it a symbolic structure serving purposes beyond burial, perhaps as a celestial observatory or even a place of energy generation? Intriguingly, there are certain measurements within the Great Pyramid that seem to reflect a deep understanding of mathematics and astronomy. The ratio of the pyramid's height to its base perimeter is remarkably close to the mathematical constant pi. Some researchers have even speculated that the pyramid could encode advanced knowledge of the Earth's dimensions, with the geographical latitude of the Great Pyramid being almost identical to the number of days in a year. Could these numerical coincidences be intentional, or are they simply the result of an ancient culture's profound understanding of the natural world? And then there are the more fringe theories, ideas that take us into the realm of the unexplained. Some proponents of these theories suggest that the Great Pyramid was not only a tomb, but also a kind of energy generator. According to these speculations, the pyramid was designed to harness and amplify cosmic energies, possibly using its internal chambers in alignment with the stars. Could the pyramid have served as an ancient power plant, a structure meant to harness and focus energy from the Earth or the cosmos? There are also theories that the Great Pyramid was not built by the Egyptians at all, but by an earlier, more advanced civilization, one whose knowledge and technology were lost in a great cataclysm. Could the pyramid be evidence of a forgotten civilization that existed long before the rise of Egypt? If so, what happened to this civilization? And why did they leave behind such an enigmatic structure? As we stand before the Great Pyramid today, the mysteries surrounding it seem to multiply rather than diminish. Is the Great Pyramid a tomb, an astronomical observatory, an energy generator, or something else entirely? The answers are elusive and the theories continue to evolve. What we do know is that the Great Pyramid remains one of the most remarkable and enduring creations of the ancient world, an object that continues to captivate our imagination and defy our understanding. The sheer scale of the pyramid is a reminder of the incredible achievements of the ancient Egyptians, but it also serves as a symbol of the limits of our knowledge. For centuries, historians, archaeologists, and researchers have tried to unravel the secrets of this ancient marvel. Yet, despite all our advances in science and technology, the Great Pyramid of Giza still holds its secrets close, standing as a silent witness to a bygone era. What could the Great Pyramid reveal if we had the tools and knowledge to fully understand its design? And what if there are even greater mysteries hidden beneath its massive stones, waiting to be uncovered? The Great Pyramid of Giza remains one of the most enduring and enigmatic monuments of human history, and its true purpose and origin may yet remain beyond our reach. Nestled in the rolling hills of eastern China, hidden beneath a quiet, unassuming landscape, lies a network of caves that defy all conventional understanding of ancient engineering. The Longyu Caves, located in the Zhejiang province, are a marvel of craftsmanship and mystery. Carved into the earth by human hands, their existence remained largely unknown to the outside world until the 1990s, when they were discovered by chance. But even now, decades later, the origins and purpose of these caves remain one of the most baffling mysteries of the ancient world. The Longyu Caves are unlike any other underground structure, spread across a vast area. The complex consists of 24 large, man-made caverns, each carved meticulously into the sandstone bedrock. Some of these caves stretch as far as 30 meters wide and 30 meters high, their ceilings arched and supported by columns that seem almost out of place for the tools that would have been available at the time. The caves are arranged in a way that suggests intentional planning, with the rooms and corridors following a clear, purposeful layout. What is even more astonishing is the sheer scale and precision of the work. The walls are smooth, the floors level, and the passageways aligned with an accuracy that could rival modern construction techniques. Despite the grand scale of these caverns, there are no inscriptions, no clear markings, and no historical records that offer any clue as to who built them or why. The caves are entirely void of decoration, and little has been found inside them. No pottery, no artifacts, and, perhaps most curiously, no signs of human habitation. They seem to exist as a monument to something, though it is unclear to what end. And yet, while the Longyu Caves are a physical presence in the landscape, their meaning remains elusive, a riddle carved into the earth. The official narrative surrounding the caves, as presented by mainstream archaeology, is that they were likely created during the Zhou dynasty, somewhere between the 5th and 2nd centuries BCE. During this period, the ancient Chinese were known to construct underground structures for various purposes, including storage, defense, and ceremonial functions. The Longyu Caves may have served one or more of these purposes, perhaps a place for storing grain or a site of ritualistic significance. The scale and sophistication of the caves could suggest that they were a place of worship or even a royal tomb. Yet, no definitive evidence has been found to support any of these theories. One of the most perplexing aspects of the Longyu Caves is the lack of any written record about their construction. While ancient Chinese civilizations kept meticulous records, no historical accounts mention the caves. This has led some researchers to question how such a massive and intricate undertaking could have been so thoroughly erased from history. Could the builders have been deliberately trying to conceal their work? Or was the site forgotten over time, lost to the ravages of war, politics, or natural disasters? The technology used to create these caves is another area of intrigue. The precision with which the caverns were carved into the rock would have required tools far beyond what is typically associated with ancient Chinese civilizations. The caves were not created with simple hammers and chisels, but rather with tools that allowed for smooth, even surfaces and uniform passages. The methods employed to excavate the caves remain a subject of debate, and some suggest that simple hand tools were used, with workers gradually chiseling away at the stone over centuries. Others propose that more advanced techniques, such as mechanical drills or hydraulic devices, may have been employed, though there is no concrete evidence to support this. Furthermore, the sheer scale of the project raises more questions than answers. How did the builders excavate such large spaces without the aid of a modern machinery. The caves are immense, and the task of carving them out of solid rock would have been a monumental undertaking, requiring not only vast resources but a significant workforce. Yet no evidence of such a workforce has been discovered. No bones, no skeletal remains, no signs of a long-term settlement. Were the caves completed in a short burst of activity? Or did they take generations to complete? And if so, where did the workers live and how did they sustain themselves? Another striking feature of the Longyou caves is the way they seem to defy conventional building techniques. The caves were not just dug into the earth. They were constructed with remarkable engineering principles. The ceilings of many of the caverns are supported by massive, intricately carved columns, each one perfectly balanced and strategically placed. In some chambers, the columns seem to defy gravity, holding up enormous stone slabs that span vast distances. The walls, too, are flawless, creating a sense of symmetry and balance that would have been difficult to achieve without advanced knowledge of engineering and architecture. Could these ancient builders have had a grasp of engineering principles that we are only now beginning to understand? Adding to the enigma are the various theories that swirl around the caves. Some researchers believe that the Longyou caves may have served as an ancient water reservoir, used to store water during times of drought or military conflict. The layout of the caves, with their interconnected chambers and numerous water channels, could support this theory. But there is no evidence of water systems, and no signs of the caves being used for such a purpose have ever been found. Others speculate that the caves were part of a complex system of underground tunnels and chambers, perhaps a refuge or a secret hideout used during times of war. Could these vast caverns have been built as a sanctuary for a royal family or a place of refuge for the elite, providing protection from invaders? Yet, there is no evidence of any military conflict during the time the caves were believed to have been constructed, making this theory equally uncertain. Perhaps the most intriguing theory is that the Longyou caves were not created by the ancient Chinese at all, but by a lost civilization, one whose knowledge and technology have been erased from history. Some suggest that the caves are evidence of a much older culture, one that possessed advanced engineering and architectural skills far beyond what we understand today. Could the Longyou caves be the remnants of a forgotten civilization, lost to time and catastrophe? As we stand at the entrance of the Longyou caves peering into the shadows, we are left with more questions than answers. Who built these caverns? And why? What purpose did they serve? And how were they constructed with such skill and precision? The answers remain hidden deep within the earth, leaving us to ponder the mysteries of a civilization that, for all its ingenuity, seems to have left no trace behind. The Longyou caves stand as a silent reminder that, even in a world of modern discoveries, some ancient mysteries remain unsolved. Could there be secrets still buried beneath the earth, waiting to be uncovered? And what, if anything, can we learn from this extraordinary underground complex, an enigma that continues to elude our understanding, standing as a testament to the ingenuity of those who came before us? Deep in the rugged mountains of China, nestled in a remote region near the border of Tibet, a set of ancient stones was uncovered that would ignite one of the most enduring and mysterious debates in the study of ancient history. These are the DROPA stones, an artifact shrouded in intrigue and uncertainty. They were discovered in 1938 in the Bayan-Kara-Ula Mountains by a team of Chinese archaeologists. The stones, seemingly ordinary at first glance, quickly revealed their true mystery. What appeared to be little more than ancient relics soon captured the imagination of explorers, archaeologists, and even UFO enthusiasts. The Dropa stones, a collection of circular stone discs, each inscribed with strange markings, seem to defy the understanding of any known ancient culture. The stones range in size, some only a few inches across, while others stretch up to 12 inches in diameter. Their surfaces are covered with intricate grooves, etched in a spiral pattern that winds from the outer edge toward the center. When examined closely, the markings on the stones appear to be a form of writing, though it bears no resemblance to any known language from ancient China, or from any known civilization for that matter. These markings, said to resemble a form of ancient script, remain undeciphered to this day. It is unclear whether the writing is symbolic, phonetic, or something entirely different. Despite years of research, no one has been able to translate the symbols, leaving the stone's origin and purpose uncertain. Some of the stones are said to have been found in a cave system alongside human skeletons, further adding to the intrigue. The remains of these individuals were reportedly small, with some description suggesting they were of an unknown, possibly non-human species. But even the reports surrounding the discovery of the Dropa stones are clouded in ambiguity and uncertainty. At first, the stones' discovery was met with skepticism. Chinese archaeologists who initially found the stones believed them to be part of a hoax, a misunderstanding, or an attempt to misinterpret ancient artifacts. However, this quickly changed when the stones were taken to the renowned Chinese archaeologist and professor, Dr. Chi-Pu Te, who was drawn to their peculiar markings. Dr. Te's interest in the stones led to the suggestion that the markings on the discs could potentially be a form of communication. His theory grew even more extraordinary when he posited that the markings might represent a language not of this world, a suggestion that would fuel much of the speculation surrounding the Dropa stones. Dr. Te, according to some reports, even went so far as to suggest that the Dropa stones could be evidence of an extraterrestrial visit. He theorized that the markings were a form of writing from a lost or ancient civilization, potentially even from a group of visitors who had arrived from the stars. According to his hypothesis, the small skeletons discovered alongside the stones belonged to these visitors, often referred to as the Dropa people. According to these accounts, these mysterious beings had arrived on Earth from an alien spacecraft that had crash-landed in the mountains thousands of years ago. The extraterrestrial visitors, according to this theory, would have shared their knowledge with the ancient humans they encountered, possibly through the stone discs that became known as the Dropa stones. While the theory of extraterrestrial contact is certainly a tantalizing one, it remains speculative. More mainstream scholars and archaeologists have rejected the idea, suggesting that the Dropa stones are simply an example of an ancient, unknown culture with its own form of writing, yet to be deciphered. Some believe the stones might represent a prehistoric form of Chinese writing, a form that was lost over time or evolved into the more recognizable scripts we know today. Still, others propose that the markings could be an example of an ancient myth or religious symbolism, rather than a functional written language. But if the Dropa stones are of earthly origin, the question still remains. Where did they come from, and why have they not been understood? The surrounding area, the Bayan-Kara Ula Mountains, has long been associated with mysterious findings, from ancient settlements to fossils of strange animals. It is a place that seems to hold an unusual number of enigmatic relics. Some suggest that the area was once a center of early human activity, possibly a crossroads where different cultures converged and exchanged ideas. Could the Dropa stones have been created by an unknown civilization that left no other trace? Another possibility is that the stones were part of a lost culture whose existence was forgotten or erased by time. In this view, the stones represent an artifact of an advanced, perhaps even highly sophisticated society, one whose knowledge and presence were lost to history. Could these stones be the remnants of a civilization that predates even the earliest known human cultures? Or are they the product of a different kind of intelligence? An intelligence that was perhaps far removed from anything we understand. As the debate continues, the idea that the Dropa stones might be more than just an artifact of an ancient culture remains compelling for some. Could they be a form of communication from a distant past, a message left behind by beings who were not quite human? The symbols etched on the stones continue to resist translation, adding to the sense of mystery and wonder. Could these markings be a code, one that, if cracked, would reveal a profound and lost understanding of the cosmos? In more recent years, some have even suggested that the Dropa stones could be connected to the greater mysteries of human history, mysterious artifacts from across the world that hint at advanced knowledge or forgotten civilizations. From the crystal skulls of Central America to the strange carvings of ancient megalithic sites, the Dropa stones seem to belong to a larger tradition of mysterious objects whose origins remain outside the bounds of mainstream history. Could they hold a key to understanding not only the origins of humanity, but perhaps even the true nature of our place in the universe? As we stand before the Dropa stones, there are strange markings etched deeply into the surface. We are reminded of how much is still unknown. These enigmatic objects, sitting silently in their stone forms, continue to provoke questions. Who were the Dropa people, if they ever existed? Were the stones an ancient form of communication, a lost record of an unknown history? And if the markings on the stones are a message, who or what was the intended recipient? The Dropa stones may never reveal their full story, but in the shadows of their intricate grooves and symbols lies a mystery that refuses to be forgotten. What might they still be waiting to tell us? Situated on the windswept plains of Salisbury in southern England stands one of the most iconic and enigmatic structures ever built by human hands. Stonehenge, a ring of colossal standing stones, some towering over 13 feet, their weight often exceeding 25 tons, commands both awe and curiosity. The very sight of it, with its massive stones arranged in such an orderly and deliberate fashion, beckons the imagination. Yet, even as we stand before it today, the true purpose and origins of this prehistoric monument remain shrouded in mystery. The landscape surrounding Stonehenge is tranquil now, a far cry from the bustling activity it once may have witnessed thousands of years ago. The site, with its ancient stones set against the backdrop of rolling hills and open sky, creates an atmosphere that feels timeless, almost otherworldly. As we approach the site, the stones loom like silent sentinels, the towering presence imposing, yet strangely comforting. Their weathered surfaces bear the marks of millennia, erosion from the wind, the effects of countless rains, and the passage of centuries. The stones, despite their age, seem almost alive, as if they have witnessed the unfolding of countless human stories. Stonehenge was constructed in stages, beginning around 3000 BCE, with the last major additions made by the end of the Neolithic period, around 1500 BCE. But how and why was it built? The answers to these questions remain elusive. Archaeologists and historians have proposed a variety of theories over the years, each one more intriguing than the last. Some believe that Stonehenge was constructed as a religious site, perhaps a temple dedicated to ancient gods, while others argue it served as an astronomical observatory, aligning with the solstices and marking the movements of the sun. But these ideas, though fascinating, offer no definitive answers, leaving us to ponder the true purpose of this extraordinary structure. The design of Stonehenge itself offers clues, but they only deepen the mystery. The arrangement of the stones is deliberate, with the larger sarsen stones forming a circle and smaller blue stones placed within. The entrance to the site is oriented toward the northeast, aligning with the sunrise on the summer solstice. This alignment has led some to speculate that Stonehenge was used as a calendar, an ancient tool for tracking the cycles of the sun and moon, helping Neolithic people mark the passage of time and the changing seasons. But why, with such impressive technical skill, did its builders choose to create such a grand monument? Was it solely for practical purposes, or did it serve a deeper, more spiritual function? The question of how Stonehenge was built remains just as perplexing. The sheer size of the stones, some weighing as much as 50 tons, raises the question: how did ancient people, without the advanced technology we have today, manage to transport and raise such massive stones into place? The stones themselves are not local. The sarsen stones were transported from Marlborough Downs, about 20 miles away, while the smaller blue stones are believed to have been carried from the Preseli Hills in Wales, nearly 150 miles away. The logistics of moving such heavy materials without the use of wheels or cranes remain a mystery in and of themselves. Did the builders possess knowledge of advanced techniques? Or were they aided by forces beyond our understanding? Some theories suggest that Stonehenge was not a solitary project, but part of a wider interconnected network of ceremonial and astronomical sites scattered across the British Isles. Could Stonehenge have been a hub in a complex web of sacred spaces, each designed to work together in a larger ritual or cosmic observance? And if so, what did this network represent? Was it a reflection of a lost civilization that possessed a level of knowledge and organizational skill far beyond what we attribute to the people of that era? For centuries, the mystery of Stonehenge has inspired fringe theories, each one offering more extraordinary possibilities. Some have suggested that the monument was a landing site for ancient astronauts, a claim fueled by its advanced construction and possible astronomical alignments. Others argue that Stonehenge could have been a site for mystical rituals, an ancient place of magic where humans connected with the divine, drawing power from the cosmos itself. Could Stonehenge have been a portal, or perhaps an ancient device designed to harness the energy of the earth? While many of these theories are highly speculative, they point to a fundamental truth about Stonehenge. It has captured the human imagination for millennia, and its true meaning continues to elude us. Every year, people from across the world visit the site, especially during the summer solstice, when the sun rises directly above the central altar stone, casting long shadows over the monument and bathing the area in a golden light. It is a spectacle that seems to echo an ancient reverence for the sun, one that stretches back long before written history. What knowledge did the people who built Stonehenge possess? What did they believe? And how did they see their place in the vast universe? There is no shortage of ideas, but no definitive answers. Was Stonehenge a sacred temple, a giant observatory, or a burial ground, as some have suggested, with human remains discovered at the site? Could it have been all these things simultaneously, a multifaceted monument built for a society whose understanding of the cosmos and the forces of nature was far beyond what we often assume? As we stand here today, at the edge of this magnificent monument, the mystery of Stonehenge continues to unfold. Every new discovery, every new theory, adds another layer to the complex tapestry of questions that surround it. The stones may remain silent, but the questions they provoke are far from settled. Was Stonehenge an ancient calendar, a place of worship, or something entirely different? What knowledge did its builders possess, and what did they intend for future generations to understand? As we contemplate these questions, we are reminded that some mysteries, no matter how many years pass, remain untold. Stonehenge continues to stand as a testament to a civilization's ambition and mystery, its purpose hidden within the folds of time. And perhaps, just perhaps, the answers we seek lie somewhere beyond the stones themselves, waiting to be uncovered. In the high plains of Bolivia, not far from the shores of Lake Titicaca, a relic from the distant past sits in quiet mystery. Known as the Fuente Magna Bowl, this small carved ceramic vessel has become one of the most debated and mysterious artifacts in the study of ancient civilizations. Discovered in 1950 near the modern-day town of Tiahuanaco, the bowl has sparked endless questions about the connections between early South American cultures and ancient Mesopotamian societies, as well as the possibility of lost knowledge carried across vast distances of time and space. The Fuente Magna Bowl itself is deceptively simple in appearance, yet its significance looms large. The bowl is made of clay, about 30 centimeters in diameter, and it features intricate carvings along its edges. What makes this artifact so intriguing, however, is not the shape or form of the vessel, but the script etched into its surface. Upon closer examination, the carvings are not mere decoration. They appear to be a form of writing, one that bears a striking resemblance to the Sumerian cuneiform script, an ancient writing system that originated in Mesopotamia over 5,000 years ago. But how could such a script appear in the heart of South America, where no known Mesopotamian presence is documented? The discovery of the Fuente Magna Bowl raises questions that challenge the very foundations of our understanding of ancient civilizations. Did the Sumerians, or another ancient culture, make their way across the ocean and leave traces of their language behind, hidden in this unassuming bowl? Or could the carvings on the Fuente Magna be evidence of a much earlier, yet unknown culture that somehow connected the old and new worlds long before the arrival of Europeans? The bowl was first uncovered in a field near the town of Tiahuanaco, an area already known for its ancient ruins and profound mysteries. Tiahuanaco itself is a site steeped in intrigue. The ruins, which date back as early as 1500 BCE, contain enormous stone structures and sculptures, including the famous Gate of the Sun. These megalithic remnants seem to point to a civilization with advanced knowledge of astronomy and architecture. Yet very little is known about the people who once called this place home. The Fuente Magna Bowl was found near this enigmatic location, adding to the sense that something far older, far more complex, may lie hidden beneath the surface of modern understanding. When the bowl was initially discovered, it was thought to be an ordinary artifact, perhaps a ceremonial vessel. However, as experts examined it further, the strange inscriptions caught their attention. The script, etched deeply into the surface of the bowl, closely resembled Sumerian cuneiform, one of the earliest systems of writing in human history. The characters appear to form words and phrases, though their exact meaning remains unknown. Despite extensive efforts to translate the inscriptions, the script has defied all attempts at full interpretation, further deepening the mystery surrounding the bowl. Some scholars believe that the script on the Fuente Magna Bowl is indeed a form of Sumerian cuneiform, suggesting that the people of ancient Mesopotamia may have reached the Americas long before any documented contact between the old and new worlds. This theory proposes that the Sumerians known for their remarkable achievements in writing, mathematics, and astronomy, may have traveled across the vast expanse of the oceans, leaving behind traces of their civilization in the most unexpected places. Could these ancient mariners have sailed from Mesopotamia, guided by their advanced understanding of navigation, and left their mark on the distant shores of the Americas? On the other hand, some scholars argue that the script on the Fuente Magna Bowl could be an example of independent invention, where an ancient South American culture developed a form of writing similar to cuneiform, but without any direct contact with Mesopotamian civilization. There are examples of early cultures around the world that developed writing systems independently of one another, and it's possible that the people of the Andean region had their own sophisticated methods of recording information passed down through oral traditions and expressed in carved symbols. In this view, the Fuente Magna Bowl might represent a unique yet isolated development in the history of human writing. While these mainstream theories are compelling, they do little to explain the uncanny similarities between the Fuente Magna script and Sumerian cuneiform. Could there have been a forgotten connection between ancient civilizations on opposite sides of the world? Did knowledge and culture somehow flow between distant lands long before we thought possible? Or is it possible that the Fuente Magna Bowl is the product of a much earlier, yet lost civilization, whose existence has been erased from history? There is another theory, one that explores the possibility of an ancient global network, an advanced civilization with the knowledge and technology to traverse oceans and continents. Some researchers have suggested that such a civilization could have existed long before recorded history and was responsible for spreading advanced ideas and technology to cultures around the world. The Fuente Magna Bowl, in this view, would be a remnant of that lost network, a piece of a puzzle that suggests ancient peoples were not as isolated as we have assumed. Could this theory explain not only the presence of cuneiform-like writing in the Andes, but also other unexplained anomalies found in ancient cultures around the globe? As if the enigma of the script itself were not enough, the bowl's discovery also raises questions about its intended purpose. Was it a ritual object designed for ceremonial use? Or could it have been a practical tool used to record important information? In the absence of any definitive answers, the Fuente Magna Bowl continues to provoke thought and speculation, suggesting that ancient civilizations may have been far more connected and far more advanced than we have ever imagined. The mystery of the Fuente Magna Bowl is far from solved. While some theories suggest a connection between the ancient cultures of the Old and New Worlds, others offer more cautious interpretations, proposing that the similarities in script are the result of independent cultural development. Whatever the truth may be, one thing is clear: the Fuente Magna Bowl challenges our assumptions about ancient history and invites us to reconsider the possibility of lost knowledge, hidden connections, and forgotten civilizations. What stories might the inscriptions on the bowl tell us, if only we could decipher them? And what other mysteries lie waiting to be uncovered in the remote corners of the world? As we search for answers, the Fuente Magna Bowl remains a silent, enigmatic witness to the mysteries of the ancient past. Hidden deep in the vaults of Yale University's Beinecke Rare Book and Manuscript Library is an object that has baffled scholars, cryptographers, and historians for over 6 centuries. It is a book that contains no known language, no identifiable script, and no definitive explanation for its creation. Known as the Voynich manuscript, this mysterious tome, bound in vellum and measuring just under 23 by 16 centimeters, has confounded generations with its strange illustrations and unreadable text. The manuscript itself, in its unassuming physicality, seems almost innocuous, its pages yellowed with age, the leather cover worn and cracked with time. But as one flips through its pages, an unsettling sense of disconnection takes over. The text, written in a unique script that no one has been able to decipher, is unlike any known language in the world. It doesn't resemble anything from the medieval or ancient world, nor does it appear to follow any known system of writing. The letters curve and flow in an elaborate, seemingly whimsical pattern, evoking a sense of rhythm and structure, but with no key to unlock its meaning. The illustrations are equally perplexing. Some pages depict strange, otherworldly plants that do not exist in any botanical catalog, their forms unfamiliar to any known species of the natural world. Other images show intricate, almost surreal scenes of naked figures submerged in pools of water, or conducting bizarre rituals with elaborate symbols. There are star charts, alchemical diagrams, and strange labyrinthine patterns that suggest a highly advanced understanding of the universe. Yet all of it is rendered in a language that remains entirely unknown. The manuscript was first brought to wider attention in 1912, when it was acquired by the rare book dealer Wilfred Voynich, after whom it is now named. Voynich stumbled upon the manuscript while perusing the holdings of the Villa Mondragone in Italy, and it is from this point onward that the manuscript became part of the modern mystery. Upon acquiring it, Voynich began a campaign to decipher the manuscript, reaching out to experts across various fields, from linguistics to cryptography, to assist in uncovering its secrets. Despite their best efforts, however, the text has remained impervious to all attempts at translation. But who created the Voynich manuscript, and why? What purpose could a book with no clear meaning serve, and what lies hidden within its pages? Theories about the manuscript's origins are as varied as the illustrations within its covers. Some believe that it was written in the early 15th century, perhaps in Central Europe, based on carbon dating of the vellum used to make the book. This dating places it squarely within the period of the Renaissance, a time of great intellectual ferment, exploration, and mysticism. But who could have created such a work, and what motivated them? One of the more mainstream theories is that the manuscript is a hoax, an elaborate medieval forgery designed to fool people into thinking it held some great lost knowledge. Some suggest that it was the work of an alchemist or a medieval scholar who created the book to appear mystical, while secretly encoding something of personal or academic significance. In this view, the manuscript would have been a tool to impress or deceive rather than a genuine ancient text. Others, however, argue that the Voynich manuscript might contain a form of knowledge that we have lost access to, a form of wisdom from the ancient world that was encoded in an unknown script to protect it from being deciphered by outsiders. Some have proposed that it might be the work of a forgotten civilization, an artifact that was intentionally preserved by a secretive group, waiting for the right moment in history to be understood. In this interpretation, the manuscript represents an ancient tradition, perhaps even a form of sacred knowledge, written in a language that was never meant to be read by the public, but rather by a select few who were capable of unlocking its secrets. The book's botanical illustrations also raise questions. Several scholars have pointed out that some of the plants depicted appear to have symbolic or magical meanings, perhaps related to alchemy, herbalism, or early medical practices. The knowledge contained within the book could, in this sense, be a record of lost plant species or herbal remedies encoded in a way to protect them from being misused. This theory, while intriguing, also raises the question, why would a medicinal text be written in an unknown script, a language that no one could read? Was it meant for a specific audience, one that understood this secret language? And if so, what did they believe they were protecting? Some even suggest that the manuscript could have extraterrestrial origins. While this theory is more fringe than most, it is not entirely without merit in the context of the manuscript's strange, otherworldly illustrations. The odd plants and bizarre figures depicted on its pages have led some to entertain the possibility that the book might contain information from beyond Earth. Could the Voynich manuscript be the work of beings from another world, a form of communication that we are simply unable to comprehend? Another theory is that the manuscript is a coded language, a cipher, designed to conceal the meaning of the text from all who might attempt to read it. Cryptographers, both amateur and professional, have tirelessly attempted to crack the code, employing every known method of cryptography, from frequency analysis to statistical modeling. Yet, despite these efforts, the text resists all efforts at decryption. Some argue that the cipher may be a uniquely complex one, using a mix of symbols, language rules, and structure that defies modern understanding. Throughout its history, the manuscript has inspired a myriad of explanations, many of which are based on speculative leaps of logic. And yet, despite the vast array of theories, the Voynich manuscript continues to resist all attempts at definitive interpretation. Is it a work of genius, a complex creation designed to encode lost knowledge? Or is it simply a beautifully crafted hoax? A medieval puzzle meant to deceive? Or does it represent something else entirely, something that lies beyond our current understanding, perhaps a glimpse into a forgotten past, or a future? The manuscript remains one of the most enduring mysteries in the study of ancient texts. Even with centuries of research, we are no closer to answering the fundamental questions it raises. Who wrote it and why? What is the purpose of the strange, undecipherable script? And what knowledge, if any, does the Voynich manuscript hold? As we continue to search for answers, the manuscript remains as enigmatic as ever, its pages offering only more questions and an eerie silence. What remains hidden within those unreadable words? And will we ever truly unlock the secret of the Voynich manuscript? Or will it remain an unsolved riddle, forever elusive, forever enigmatic? Deep in the southern reaches of modern-day Iraq, beneath the scorching desert sun, lies the ancient site of Tel al-Ubaid, a place that holds the whispers of a civilization that flourished over 7,000 years ago. It was here, in the fertile lands near the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, that archaeologists unearthed a series of mysterious figurines, small, sculpted images of humanoid figures, but with one shocking, unearthly feature. These were not ordinary human figures. Instead, many were distinctly reptilian, with exaggerated lizard-like features, scaly skin, sharp claws, and elongated, almost serpentine heads. They became known as the UBAID LIZARDMEN figurines, and their presence in this ancient site raises questions that stretch the boundaries of conventional understanding. The UBAID culture, which predates the rise of the Sumerians by several centuries, is known for its advanced developments in pottery, agriculture, and urbanization. Yet, despite the many accomplishments of the UBAID people, it is the discovery of these figurines that continues to haunt researchers and capture the imaginations of those who seek to uncover the mysteries of ancient civilizations. Carved from clay, these figurines range in size from small, palm-sized pieces to larger, more intricate statues. Their forms are humanoid, but their faces often devoid of expression, are marked by disturbing reptilian features that appear far removed from the human forms of the time. At first glance, these figurines might be dismissed as mere artistic representations, abstract depictions of deities or spiritual beings. However, the uncanny reptilian appearance, coupled with their consistent portrayal in a variety of poses and settings, suggests a deeper significance. Why would the UBAID people, whose art and craftsmanship show a strong human influence, create such otherworldly figures? What were these creatures meant to represent? And, more intriguingly, why were they so prominently featured in the archaeological record of this early civilization? The site of Tel al-Ubaid itself is a fascinating location, a settlement that gives us a glimpse into one of the earliest complex societies in Mesopotamia. Excavations at the site have revealed evidence of a thriving community with well-planned dwellings, elaborate pottery, and finely crafted tools. The people of UBAID were skilled in agriculture and trade, and they seemed to possess an advanced understanding of their environment, using the rivers and fertile land to sustain their growing population. Yet, despite their clear development in other areas, it is these strange reptilian figurines that challenge our understanding of the culture. Some archaeologists believe that these figurines represent mythological beings, possibly deities or spiritual figures that held significant power in the UBAID belief system. Ancient civilizations often created images of gods and spirits, and many cultures throughout history have revered animals, particularly those that possessed qualities they admired, such as strength, wisdom, or agility. In this light, the UBAID lizardmen might represent a form of reptilian deity, a symbol of the power and mystery of the natural world. But could there be more to these figures than mere symbolism? Some fringe theorists have suggested that the UBAID lizardmen could be evidence of a far more extraordinary connection, one that reaches beyond the conventional narrative of human history. These theorists propose that the figures could represent beings who were not simply deities, but perhaps actual visitors from another world. The reptilian characteristics, they argue, may point to an extraterrestrial presence, beings who arrived on Earth in ancient times and were somehow venerated by the UBAID people as gods or celestial beings. This theory, which echoes the ancient astronaut hypothesis, posits that these visitors may have interacted with early human civilizations, leaving behind symbols and artifacts as evidence of their presence. Yet, despite the intrigue of such theories, there is little concrete evidence to support the idea of extraterrestrial contact in ancient Mesopotamia. Most scholars agree that the figurines likely represent mythological creatures deeply rooted in the culture and spirituality of the UBAID people. It is important to note that reptilian imagery was not unique to the UBAID civilization. Similar motifs can be found in other ancient cultures around the world, from the serpent gods of ancient Egypt to the feathered serpents of Mesoamerica. The serpent, in many traditions, is a symbol of transformation, power, and mystery, often representing the threshold between the earthly and the divine. Could it be that the UBAID lizardmen figurines are simply another manifestation of this universal symbol? Still, the questions linger. Why did the UBAID people choose to depict these figures in such a prominent way? Why did they give these strange creatures such a place in their spiritual and cultural life? Some researchers suggest that the figurines could have been used in religious rituals, possibly representing guardian spirits or intermediaries between the human world and the divine. In this context, the reptilian figures might not be literal depictions of extraterrestrial beings, but rather symbolic representations of powers beyond the human realm, forces that were both revered and feared. Others have proposed that the UBAID lizardmen could be representations of actual creatures, perhaps a species of reptile or amphibian that was once common in the region. However, this theory is less widely accepted, given that no known species of reptile or amphibian bears such a strong resemblance to the figures. Still, it raises an interesting point about how ancient peoples might have understood and interpreted the creatures they encountered in their environment, infusing them with symbolic significance. Whatever the true purpose of the UBAID lizardmen figurines may be, they continue to provoke thought and speculation. The mystery surrounding them is not merely one of artistic style, but of cultural meaning and spiritual significance. Were these figures created as representations of gods, or were they something more? Could they hold the key to understanding the religious and cultural practices of the UBAID people? Or do they point to a lost connection with something far older and more profound? As with many ancient artifacts, the UBAID lizardmen figurines offer us more questions than answers. They challenge us to reconsider what we know about early human civilization and the nature of spiritual belief. And perhaps, like many mysteries of the ancient world, their true significance remains hidden, waiting for the right moment or the right insight to reveal itself. What secrets do these figures hold? And what forgotten truths might they point toward? The answers may be lost to time, but the mystery, like the figures themselves, remains indelible, etched into the ancient clay of our past. Amidst the arid plains of the Indian subcontinent, beneath the shadow of the Himalayan foothills, lies one of the most remarkable and enigmatic remnants of ancient civilization. The Indus Valley, once home to a thriving urban culture, stretches across modern-day Pakistan and parts of India, a region where some of the earliest and most advanced cities in human history were built. Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro, two of the most prominent urban centers of this ancient civilization, are marvels of engineering with their well-planned streets, sophisticated drainage systems, and carefully crafted buildings. Yet, despite their technological advancements and complex society, one crucial piece of their culture remains an unsolved mystery: the Indus Valley script. At first glance, the script appears on small seals and pottery shards, etched in what seems like an indecipherable pattern of symbols. These symbols, often appearing in vertical or horizontal rows, are small and neatly carved, giving the impression that they were crafted with purpose and precision. Many of these inscriptions are found on small clay seals, which are believed to have been used for stamping or sealing goods, while others appear on tablets, pottery, and other artifacts. The symbols themselves, about 400 in total, range from simple geometric shapes to more intricate forms that suggest an intricate system of writing. The script has been dated to around 3,300 BCE, placing it in the heart of the Indus Valley civilization, a society that flourished for over a millennium before mysteriously fading around 1900 BCE. Despite the sheer volume of these inscriptions, which number in the thousands, no one has yet been able to definitively decipher the script. Unlike the cuneiform writing of Mesopotamia or the hieroglyphs of Egypt, which have been cracked over time, the Indus Valley script remains stubbornly resistant to all attempts at translation. Scholars have been unable to agree on whether it is a true written language, a form of proto-writing, or perhaps something else entirely. The discovery of the Indus Valley script can be traced back to the early 19th century, when British archaeologists began to explore the remains of the Harappan civilization. Early excavations revealed the unmistakable presence of these strange symbols on seals and other objects, and it soon became clear that they held significant meaning. Yet, despite the best efforts of numerous scholars, linguists, and cryptographers, no breakthrough has been made in understanding their full significance. One of the most compelling aspects of the Indus script is its ubiquity. It appears on a wide variety of materials, stone, clay, and metal, and in many different contexts, suggesting that it was used in everyday life for some form of communication or record-keeping. However, the absence of a Rosetta Stone-like artifact, one that could offer a key to unlocking the symbols, has made the task of deciphering the script an extraordinarily difficult one. Furthermore, the lack of any known bilingual inscriptions, such as those that helped crack Egyptian hieroglyphs or Mesopotamian cuneiform, has only deepened the mystery. Most mainstream scholars believe that the script is a form of writing, possibly used to record economic transactions or religious rituals. Some suggest that the symbols represent a kind of logographic writing system, where each symbol stands for a word or a concept. Others have proposed that it might be an early alphabetic script, with each symbol representing a sound, much like the letters in modern alphabets. However, the true structure of the script, whether it is logographic, syllabic, or alphabetic, remains a subject of intense debate. Some researchers have even suggested that the Indus script might be something entirely different from any known writing system. Could it be a form of symbolic representation, one that was meant to convey meaning in ways we are not yet capable of understanding? The use of seals and stamps to imprint these symbols on goods has led some to hypothesize that the script could have been primarily a form of branding or identification, rather than a full-fledged writing system. In this view, the symbols might have been used as identifiers of ownership or origin, similar to modern-day trademarks. The mystery deepens when we consider the context in which these symbols appear. The Indus Valley civilization, often regarded as one of the most advanced ancient cultures, remains largely shrouded in mystery. While we have a great deal of information about the cities of Harappa and MOHENJO-DARO, our knowledge of their urban planning, their trade networks, and their advanced technologies, little is known about their social structures, religious beliefs, or, most crucially, their language. The script, though pervasive, has left us with little to help us understand the intellectual and cultural fabric of the society that created it. This has led some scholars to wonder whether the script might hold the key to understanding a larger mystery: the sudden and unexplained decline of the Indus Valley civilization. Around 1900 BCE, the great cities of the Indus Valley, once bustling with activity, began to fall into decline. The reasons for this collapse remain unknown. Was it environmental factors such as changes in river patterns or climate shifts? Was it warfare, migration, or trade disruptions? Could the script, with its undetermined meaning, have been lost along with the civilization itself? Or might the script have been abandoned for another reason, leaving future generations with no key to unlock the secrets of the past? Some have gone further, suggesting that the Indus Valley script might not be a written language at all. Could it be a symbolic system used in rituals, or a form of sacred communication designed only for a select few? There are also fringe theories, which speculate that the script could be a form of extraterrestrial communication, an idea that fits within the broader ancient astronaut hypothesis, which posits that ancient civilizations were influenced by beings from other worlds. While these theories remain unproven, they add to the allure of the Indus script as a symbol of humanity's lost knowledge. As we continue to probe the mystery of the Indus Valley script, we are left with more questions than answers. Why did the people of the Indus Valley create such a system of writing, and what was its purpose? Was it truly a written language, or a precursor to something more sophisticated that has been lost over time? And perhaps, most intriguingly, could the key to understanding this lost civilization lie within those cryptic symbols, waiting to be unlocked, buried beneath the sands of time? The Indus Valley script remains one of the most captivating enigmas of the ancient world. It serves as a reminder of how much we still do not know about the past and how many mysteries are yet to be solved. What knowledge does it contain? And will we ever be able to decipher its secrets? As with so many ancient mysteries, the script beckons us, urging us to continue searching for answers, even if the path to discovery remains shrouded in uncertainty.